You're walking through tall grass in East Africa. 2 million years ago, the sun is setting. You're hungry, tired, looking for a place to sleep. Something moves in the grass ahead. You freeze. Your heart pounds. Every muscle tenses. Your eyes scan the shadows. The grass sways. Could be wind. Could be something else. This moment. This terror. This was daily life for early humans. For millions of years, we think of ourselves as apex predators, top of the food chain, masters of the planet. But that's recent, very recent. For most of human history, we were prey, not occasional prey, not rare victims of unlucky encounters. We were a primary food source. We were on the menu, regularly hunted, systematically killed, eaten. The evidence is in our bones, literally. Archaeologists find human remains with tooth marks, big tooth marks, puncture wounds and skulls, drag marks on leg bones. The signs are clear. Something was eating us. Lots of somethings: big cats, hyenas, wild dogs, crocodiles, giant eagles, even snakes. The list of predators that hunted early humans is long and terrifying. Here's what's hard to grasp. We weren't just avoiding predators. We were being actively hunted. These animals learned our patterns, figured out our weaknesses, developed hunting strategies specifically for humans. We were slow, weak, no claws, no fangs, no armor. Our babies were helpless for years. We slept on the ground. We couldn't run fast, couldn't climb well, couldn't fight. We were perfect prey, and we almost didn't make it. Around 70,000 years ago, something catastrophic happened. A supervolcano erupted in Indonesia, Mount Toba. The eruption was massive. It blocked out the sun, temperatures dropped, food chains collapsed, human population crashed. Genetic evidence suggests we dropped to maybe 10,000 individuals. Some estimates go lower, maybe 3,000, maybe 1,000. We nearly went extinct. But here's the thing. The volcano wasn't the only threat. We were already struggling, already on the edge, already being hunted to the brink. The predators were winning. Every night was a gamble. Every sleep was a risk. Close your eyes and you might not wake up. That was reality. For hundreds of thousands of years. Think about what that does to a species. That constant pressure, that endless fear, that nightly terror. It shaped us, changed us, made us what we are. The anxiety you feel, the fear of the dark, the nightmares, the way your heart races at strange sounds, that's not a bug. That's a feature. That's survival programming written in blood over millions of years. We are the descendants of the ones who stayed alert, who heard the grass move, who felt the danger, who survived the night. Everyone else got eaten. Here's the thing about being prey. It changes you. Not just your behavior, your body, your brain, your entire biology. Early humans developed something unique, something no other prey animal had. We got paranoid, deeply, fundamentally paranoid, and it saved us. Look at other prey animals, zebras, gazelles, antelopes. They get hunted constantly, but watch them. 5 minutes after a lion attack, they're grazing again, calm, relaxed, like nothing happened. They don't carry the fear forward. They can't afford to. Constant stress would kill them faster than predators. But humans, we're different. We remember. We worry. We imagine threats that aren't there yet. We plan for dangers that might never come. This seems like a flaw. Anxiety disorders, PTSD, insomnia, depression. These look like bugs in the system. They're not. They're features. Expensive features, but they kept us alive. A gazelle that stays anxious after an attack wastes energy. Burns calories it needs for running. Dies faster. But a human that stays anxious, that human checks the cave entrance twice, keeps the fire burning all night, wakes up at small sounds, posts a guard, makes better weapons, that human survives. We paid a price for this, a huge price. But we're here. The relaxed humans aren't. Anthropologists found something fascinating in the fossil record. Early human skeletons show signs of chronic stress, bone markers that indicate constant elevated cortisol, growth disruptions from childhood trauma, stress fractures from running. These weren't sick individuals. This was normal. This was everyone. Living as prey rewired our entire stress response system, made it hair trigger sensitive, always on, always watching. Your amygdala is bigger than it should be, overbuilt. That's the fear center of your brain. It lights up at shadows, at rustling, at anything unexpected. That's not broken. That's deliberate. That's millions of years of predators teaching your ancestors to jump at shadows, because the ones who didn't jump, they got eaten. The ones who jumped at 100 false alarms and one real threat, they survived. Natural selection doesn't care about your peace of mind. It cares about your survival, and paranoia works. Think about sleep. Most animals sleep deeply, fully. They need to. Sleep is when bodies repair, when brains consolidate memory, when immune systems rebuild. But deep sleep is dangerous. You're vulnerable, unaware, easy prey. So humans developed something weird. We sleep in cycles, 90-minute loops, light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, then back to light. Every 90 minutes you surface, almost wake up. Your brain checks the environment, scans for threats, then drops you back down. You don't remember this. It happens below consciousness, but it's there, every night. Your brain checking if you're about to be eaten. Other primates do this too, but not as intensely, not as frequently. Humans are extreme. We also developed something called sentinel sleeping. In groups, humans naturally stagger their sleep cycles. Someone's always in light sleep, always partially aware, always ready to sound the alarm. You don't plan this, you don't think about it. It just happens. Put humans together and they automatically create overlapping watch schedules. This is unconscious, biological, written into our sleep architecture by predators. Even our dreams reflect this. Nightmares about being chased, about falling, about teeth and claws and things in the dark. These aren't random. They're simulations, practice runs. Your brain rehearsing escape, preparing responses, building muscle memory for threats you've never faced. Children have more nightmares than adults, way more. Because children were the most vulnerable, the most targeted, the most eaten. Young brains needed extra practice, extra preparation. So they dreamed about monsters and woke up screaming and learned to fear the dark. That fear kept them alive. Here's what's really interesting. Humans are the only primates that can't sleep in trees safely. Adult humans, anyway. We're too big, too heavy, too clumsy. Chimps sleep in trees. Gorillas build nests in branches. Orangutans sleep 50 feet up. Safe from ground predators. But somewhere in our evolution, we got too large, too awkward. We couldn't sleep in trees anymore. We had to sleep on the ground. This was catastrophic. Ground sleeping is incredibly dangerous. You're exposed, accessible, surrounded. So we needed something else, something to replace the safety of trees. We needed fire. Fire changes everything. It creates a barrier, a perimeter of light and heat. Predators hate fire, fear it, won't cross it. Anthropologists debate when humans first controlled fire. Some say 2 million years ago. Others say 400,000. The evidence is messy, disputed. But here's what matters. Whenever we got fire, we got it because we needed it. Desperately. Not for cooking, not for warmth, for protection. Fire let us sleep. Think about that. Fire didn't make us human because it cooked our food. It made us human because it kept us alive through the night. Every advance in human technology traces back to this. To being prey. To being hunted. To barely surviving. Stone tools? Not for hunting at first. For defense. For butchering scavenged meat before predators came back. For digging safe sleeping spots. Spears? Not for attacking. For keeping distance. For making predators think twice. Language? For warning calls. For coordinating defense. For passing down information about threats. Even our social groups. The size of human tribes isn't random. It's optimal for defense. Enough people to post guards. To watch all approaches. To mob a predator if needed. Too few people and you can't defend the group. Too many and you can't feed everyone. The number that worked, 30 to 50 individuals. That's still the natural human group size. That's how many people you can really know, really trust, really coordinate with. Anthropologists call it Dunbar's number. But it's not about social capacity. It's about survival math. It's about how many people you need to not get eaten. Being prey shaped our emotions too. Guilt, shame, embarrassment. These seem like psychological problems. They're not. They're social glue. They keep groups together, and groups are what kept us alive. A human alone is dead. Easy target. No chance. But humans together, that's different. That's dangerous. That's something predators avoid. So we evolved emotions that punish isolation, that reward cooperation, that make us desperate to belong. Loneliness hurts, physically hurts. Rejection activates the same brain regions as physical pain. That's not metaphor, that's biology. Because for early humans, rejection meant death. Being cast out meant being eaten. So we evolved to fear it more than almost anything. Your social anxiety, your fear of judgment, your need for approval, that's predator pressure. That's natural selection teaching you that the group is safety and alone is death. Even our intelligence might trace back to this, to being prey. Predators are smart. They have to be. Hunting requires planning, pattern, recognition, predicting behavior. But prey that survives smart predators, that prey has to be smarter, has to outthink the hunters, has to anticipate, innovate, adapt faster. This creates an arms race. Predators get smarter, prey gets smarter, back and forth, escalating. Humans lost the physical arms race. We got weaker, slower, more vulnerable. But we won the cognitive arms race. We got smarter, way smarter. Smart enough to eventually flip the script. Smart enough to become the hunters. But that took millions of years. Millions of years of being prey first, of being hunted, of barely surviving. The scars are still there, in your brain, in your body, in your behavior. You are the descendant of the most paranoid, anxious, hyper-vigilant humans who ever lived. Because the relaxed ones didn't make it. You carry their fear, their vigilance, their survival instinct, and it still works. It still keeps you alive. Just in different ways now. The predators changed, but the programming remains. If you are liking the content, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. I always check the comments. We're going to keep going. There's more to this story, more evidence, more questions, more pieces of the puzzle about what it meant to be prey. The predators shaped us in ways we're still discovering, ways that show up in unexpected places, in our bodies, our cultures, our choices. Let's look at what the bones tell us. The bones tell stories, not metaphorical stories, real ones, written in tooth marks and fractures and the way pieces are missing. When archaeologists find ancient human remains, they look closely, very closely, under microscopes, with special lights. They measure grooves, count punctures, map damage patterns. What they find is disturbing. Take Swartkrans Cave in South Africa. Researchers found 130 early human fossils there, dating back about 1.8 million years. These were Australopithecus and early Homo species, our ancestors. 27% of those fossils show predator damage, not scattered damage, not random breaks from rocks falling. Specific patterns, tooth marks, puncture wounds, the kind you get from being bitten. One skull has 2 holes, perfectly spaced. The distance matches leopard canines exactly. Upper and lower teeth. The leopard bit down on this person's head, probably carried them that way, up into a tree. We know this because leopards cache their kills in trees, away from other predators. They still do it today. Another skull from the same cave has different marks. Wider spacing, bigger teeth, probably a saber-toothed cat. Different predator, same result. These weren't isolated incidents. This was common. Over a quarter of the humans at this site got eaten. But it gets worse. At Sterkfontein Caves, also in South Africa, researchers found juvenile human remains. A child, maybe 4 years old. The skull has damage on top, big puncture wounds. The spacing matches a large eagle. Eagles hunt primates. They still do. In Africa today, crowned eagles take monkeys regularly. Swoop down, grab them, carry them off. This child was probably snatched the same way. Imagine that. You're 4-year-old playing near the cave entrance. You look away for a moment. A shadow passes. When you look back, they're gone. Just gone. No body, no trace. Just talon marks in the dirt. That was real. That happened. The evidence isn't just from Africa. In China, researchers found Homo erectus remains at Dragonbone Hill. The site is famous. Lots of fossils. But here's what's interesting. The bones are mixed with hyena bones. Lots of hyena bones. And the human remains show gnaw marks, hyena teeth marks. The hyenas were eating humans, dragging bodies back to their den, crunching bones. This wasn't a human living site. This was a hyena den. The humans were food. In Europe, Neanderthal sites show similar patterns. Bones with carnivore damage, skulls with puncture wounds, evidence of scavenging and hunting. One site in Croatia has Neanderthal remains mixed with cave bear bones. The bears were huge, bigger than modern bears. The damage patterns suggest the bears were eating the Neanderthals. But here's what's really interesting. It's not just the damage, it's what's missing. When archaeologists find animal kills, they find certain bones. Predators eat meat but leave some parts. Skulls often survive. Leg bones, ribs sometimes. But early human sites, lots of fragments, lots of broken pieces, not many complete skeletons. Something was eating everything, breaking bones for marrow, crunching skulls, taking whole bodies. The fossil record is biased. We only find the ones who got away, the ones killed near caves, the ones a predator abandoned, the lucky ones. For every fossil we find, how many just vanished, eaten completely, scattered, gone? Researchers estimate we found maybe 1% of early humans who lived, probably less. The rest disappeared. Most of them probably got eaten. There's another kind of evidence, rarer, more disturbing, coprolites, fossilized feces, predator droppings from millions of years ago. Some contain bone fragments, human bone fragments, identifiable under microscopes. These people were digested, passed through a predator's system. That's what's left of them. One coprolite from South Africa contains bone chips from multiple individuals, different ages. This predator ate several humans, maybe a family group. The teeth tell stories too. Predator teeth from early human sites show wear patterns, specific kinds of wear, from biting bone repeatedly. These animals were eating bone regularly, probably human bone. Some predator skulls show healed injuries, broken teeth, fractured jaws, from fighting, maybe from fighting humans. We fought back, sometimes, not often successfully, but we tried. One hyena skull from Ethiopia has a stone tool embedded in it. Someone threw a rock, hit the hyena. The rock stuck. The hyena survived. The bone grew around it. That hyena carried a human weapon in its skull for years, but that's rare. Most of the time, we lost. The bone chemistry tells us more. Scientists can analyze isotopes in bones, figure out what animals ate, where they hunted, what their diet was. Predators from early human sites show interesting patterns. Their nitrogen isotopes indicate they ate meat regularly, including primate meat, including us. Some predators show seasonal patterns, more human remains in dry seasons, when other prey was scarce. We were fallback food. When times got tough, predators ate humans. But some show year-round patterns. They ate humans constantly. We were a staple food source. The caves themselves are evidence. Many early human fossils come from caves, but not from living sites, from predator dens. The caves were full of bones, mixed bones, antelope, baboons, humans, all together. These were storage sites, feeding sites. The predators lived there, brought food there, ate there. We weren't living in these caves. We were being brought there as food. One cave in South Africa has layers, different time periods, different occupants. Early layers show leopard occupation, human bones with leopard damage. Later layers show hyena occupation, human bones with hyena damage. Even later, humans finally moved in. We inherited these caves after the predators left, or after we drove them out, or after we got strong enough to fight them off. The caves were predator territory first. We were just visiting, usually involuntarily. There's evidence from more recent times too, not fossils, actual observations. Early explorers in Africa documented man-eating lions. The Tsavo lions killed 135 people in 1898, took them from railway camps, dragged them into the bush, ate them. The Champawat tiger in India killed 436 people, documented kills between 1907 and 1911, 4 years, one tiger. These weren't rare events, just rare documentation. This happened constantly before records, before guns, before we had the upper hand. The bones show this. The patterns are clear. The evidence is overwhelming. We were prey, regularly hunted, systematically killed, eaten. For millions of years, this was normal. This was life. This was what it meant to be human. The predators left their mark in our bones, in the fossil record, in the gaps where people should be but aren't. Every human alive today descends from the ones who survived, the ones who escaped, the ones who hid well enough, fought hard enough, got lucky enough. We carry that survival in our genes, in our instincts, in our fear of the dark, because the dark held real monsters, and they were hungry, and we were food. Smilodon wasn't a lion with big teeth. It was something else entirely, something built specifically to kill large prey, including us. The name means knife tooth. That's accurate. The canines were 7 inches long, curved, serrated, on the back edge, like steak knives growing out of its face. But here's what most people miss. Those teeth weren't for biting, not the way you'd think. Modern big cats kill with their canines. They bite the throat, crush the windpipe, suffocate prey, quick, efficient, works great. Smilodon couldn't do that. The teeth were too long, too fragile. They'd snap if it bit struggling prey. Researchers tested this. Computer models, stress analysis, The teeth couldn't handle sideways force. So what were they for? Precision killing. Smilodon hunted differently than modern cats. It was built like a linebacker, short legs, massive shoulders, incredibly strong front limbs. It could pin prey, hold it down with pure strength. Then came the bite, not to the throat, to the belly, to major blood vessels. The teeth slid between ribs, severed arteries. The prey bled out in seconds. Fast, surgical, brutal. Paleontologists found Smilodon fossils across both Americas, from Alaska to Argentina. They lived in forests, grasslands, mountains. Everywhere humans went, Smilodon was there. The timeline matters. Smilodon appeared about 2.5 million years ago, went extinct around 10,000 years ago. That's a long overlap with humans, millions of years of sharing territory. The La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles preserved thousands of Smilodon skeletons, more than any other predator. They got trapped in the tar, died there, sank, got preserved perfectly. These fossils tell us a lot. First, Smilodon was social. The bones show healed injuries, broken legs that mended, infected teeth that an animal survived. These cats lived long enough to heal from serious wounds. That's impossible for a solitary hunter. A lone cat with a broken leg starves. But if you're in a group, others bring food. You survive. So Smilodon hunted in prides, like modern lions, but bigger, stronger, more specialized. Second, they ate megafauna, giant sloths, mastodons, bison. The isotope analysis of their bones shows a diet of large prey. They needed lots of meat. But megafauna weren't always available, especially during lean times, ice ages, droughts, when big prey was scarce. That's when they ate humans. We know this from cut marks. Human bones from Smilodon sites show damage patterns, defleshing marks. Someone was removing meat from these bones, processing them. Some researchers think humans scavenged Smilodon kills. Maybe, but the evidence goes both ways. Some human bones show Smilodon tooth marks, direct predation. One skull from Brazil has puncture wounds. The spacing matches Smilodon canines. The depth matches too. This person was bitten in the head, probably killed instantly. Another site in Chile shows something interesting. Human remains mixed with Smilodon remains, both butchered, both processed the same way. Something was eating both species, maybe dire wolves, maybe other predators, but the point stands. Humans and Smilodon both ended up as food. We were in the same food web. Sometimes we ate them. Sometimes they ate us. The extinction timing is fascinating. Smilodon vanished 10,000 years ago, right when humans developed advanced hunting technology. Atlatls, spear throwers, better coordination, better tactics. Coincidence? Probably not. Humans likely contributed to Smilodon extinction, not by hunting them directly, by killing their prey, mastodons, giant sloths, horses, camels. All the megafauna disappeared around the same time. Climate change played a role too. The Ice Age ended. Forests replaced grasslands. Megafauna habitats shrank. But humans were the final push. We outcompeted them, took their food, pushed them to extinction. Poetic justice, maybe. They hunted us for millions of years. We got smart enough to hunt back. But before that happened, Smilodon was a constant threat. A nightmare predator perfectly designed to kill large prey. Think about encountering one. You're walking through tall grass. You hear something. Turn around. Nothing. There. But you feel watched. Then movement. Low, fast. Something huge bursts from cover. Massive shoulders, thick muscles, mouth open. Those teeth visible even from a distance. You run. Doesn't matter. Smilodon was fast over short distances, built for ambush, for explosive power. It hits you from behind, knocks you down, pins you with its weight. You can't move, can't breathe. Those front limbs are too strong. Then you feel the teeth sliding in between your ribs, finding your heart, your lungs, major vessels. It's over in seconds, quick, almost merciful compared to other predators, but terrifying, absolutely terrifying. The fossil record shows Smilodon preferred certain prey, medium to large animals, things they could pin and kill quickly, things worth the energy expenditure. Humans fit that profile. We were the right size, slow enough to catch, weak enough to pin, soft enough to kill easily. We were ideal prey. And Smilodon knew it. Indigenous stories from the Americas mention giant cats, creatures with enormous teeth, man-eaters, monsters. These stories might be cultural memory, passed down for thousands of years, stories about Smilodon, about the cats that hunted us. The Cherokee tell stories of giant cats in caves. The Navajo speak of predators with knife teeth. The Aztecs depicted big cats in their art, exaggerated canines, fearsome hunters. Maybe these are just stories, mythology, imagination, or maybe they're memories, distant echoes of real encounters, real fear, real predators that shaped human culture. Smilodon left its mark on us, not just in fossils, in our collective memory, our stories, our nightmares about big cats with impossible teeth. We survived them. Barely. Through luck, through cunning, through developing weapons and fire and cooperation. But for millions of years they had the advantage. They were stronger, faster, better armed, purpose-built killing machines. We were just meat, walking meat, trying to survive long, enough to reproduce. Every human alive descends from the ones who escaped, who hid, who fought, who survived Smilodon and all the other predators. We carry that survival in our DNA, in our instincts, in our fear of big cats. That fear is ancient, genetic, earned through millions of years of being hunted. Smilodon is gone now, extinct for 10,000 years. But the fear remains, the memory, the knowledge that we were once prey to something perfectly designed to kill us. Those 7-inch teeth, those massive shoulders, that surgical precision, that was real, that hunted us, that killed us. And we're only here because some of us survived. Cave lions weren't lions, not really. They were their own species, Panthera spelea, bigger than any cat alive today, heavier than modern lions by 25%. Some males weighed over 700 pounds. They lived across Europe and Asia, from Britain to Siberia. Anywhere humans went, cave lions followed. The fossil record shows them everywhere, in caves, in open, plains, in forests. They adapted to every environment. Cold climates, warm climates, didn't matter. They hunted us for 300,000 years. Here's what made them different from Smilodon. Cave lions didn't ambush. They stalked, followed, waited, silent pursuit. Smilodon was explosive power, quick strikes, surgical kills, over in seconds. Cave lions took their time. They'd follow a human group for days, just watching, learning patterns, figuring out who was weak, who was slow, who wandered off alone. Then they'd strike. Not when you expected, when you relaxed. We know this from cave art. Humans drew cave lions constantly, more than any other predator. The Chauvet Cave in France has dozens of cave lion paintings, dating back 36,000 years. These aren't random sketches. They're detailed, accurate. The proportions are right. The musculature is right. The posture is right. These artists knew cave lions intimately, studied them, feared them, remembered every detail. One painting shows a cave lion stalking, head low, eyes forward, the exact posture modern lions use when hunting. Another shows a pride, multiple lions together, working as a group. Cave lions were social, like modern lions, but bigger, stronger, smarter about hunting humans. The DNA evidence tells us something interesting. Cave lions split from modern lions about 500,000 years ago. They evolved separately, adapted to Ice Age conditions, to hunting megafauna, and to hunting us. Their skulls show massive jaw muscles. Bite force estimates put them at over 1,500 pounds per square inch. That's enough to crush bone, to crack open a human skull like an egg. But they didn't usually bite the head. Too risky. Humans fight back, throw rocks, use weapons. Cave lions went for the back, the neck, the spine. They'd knock you down from behind, pin you, bite through your neck vertebrae, severing the spinal cord, instant paralysis, then death, quick, efficient, quiet. The Paleolithic sites across Europe show human remains with cave lion damage, not as many as leopard kills, but enough to show a pattern. One site in Germany has 3 human skeletons, all showing the same injury pattern, neck damage, bite marks at the base of the skull. The spacing matches cave lion teeth. These people were killed the same way, same predator, same method, maybe the same individual lion, learning that humans were easy prey, coming back for more. Another site in Russia shows something chilling. A human skull inside a cave lion den, mixed with other prey bones, ibex, deer, horse, human, all food, all processed the same way, bones cracked open for marrow, skulls broken for brains. The cave lion didn't see us as special. We were just another prey animal, another source of meat. Here's what's terrifying about cave lions. They hunted at night. Their eye structure shows adaptations for low light, large pupils, reflective layer behind the retina. They saw better in darkness than we ever could. Humans needed fire to see at night, to stay safe, to keep predators away. But fire also made us visible, a beacon in the darkness, saying, "Here we are." Cave lions learned to watch fires, to circle camps, to wait for someone to step away from the light. One moment you're by the fire, warm, safe, surrounded by your group. You need to pee, or check a noise, or grab something from outside the circle. You step into the darkness, just for a moment. That's when it happens. Fast, silent. You don't even have time to scream. Your group hears something, a thud, a dragging sound. They grab torches, look around. You're gone, just gone, disappeared into the night. By morning they might find drag marks, blood, maybe some torn clothing, but probably nothing. Cave lions were thorough. They consumed everything, bones and all. The psychological impact of this was enormous. Humans developed intense fear of the dark, of being alone, of leaving the group. These aren't irrational fears, they're survival instincts, burned into our DNA through thousands of generations of being hunted. Even today, most people feel uneasy in the dark, especially alone, especially in wild places. That's cave lions. That's the memory of being prey. The extinction timeline is interesting. Cave lions survived until about 14,000 years ago in Europe. Later in Siberia, maybe as recent as 10,000 years ago, they overlapped with modern humans, with Neanderthals, with Denisovans. They hunted all of us. But as humans got better at hunting, cave lion populations declined. We killed their prey, took over their territory, pushed them to marginal habitats. Climate change helped. The Ice Age ended, forests replaced grasslands, megafauna disappeared. But humans were the main factor. We outcompeted them, drove them to extinction, not through direct hunting, through being better at survival, better at adapting, better at taking resources. We won by being smarter, not stronger. But before that victory, cave lions shaped human behavior in fundamental ways. Look at human sleeping patterns. We're terrible sleepers. We wake up constantly, check our surroundings, listen for sounds. Other primates sleep deeply, for hours, uninterrupted. We can't. Our sleep is fragmented, light, easily disturbed. That's cave lions. That's thousands of generations of needing to wake up when something approaches, when something moves in the darkness. The ones who slept deeply didn't wake up. The ones who slept lightly heard the cave lion coming, had a chance to grab a weapon, to yell, to fight. We descend from light sleepers, from people who couldn't rest easy, who stayed vigilant even in sleep. Look at human group behavior. We hate being alone. We're intensely social. We need others around us to feel safe. That's not just psychology. That's survival strategy. Groups survive. Individuals get picked off. Cave lions preferred lone targets. Easier to kill. Less risk of injury, no one to interfere, so humans stayed together. Constantly. Obsessively. Even when it was inconvenient. Even when resources were scarce. Better to share limited food with a group than to have plenty alone. Because alone, you're food. This drive for social connection is hardwired, ancient, essential. It kept us alive when everything else wanted us dead. The cave paintings show this too. Humans drew themselves in groups, always together, hunting together, gathering together. Even the art was communal. Rarely do you see a lone human in Ice Age art, but you see lone predators, watching, waiting. That's the reality they lived. Predators were everywhere. Safety was in numbers. One painting in France shows a human figure, small, vulnerable, surrounded by animal tracks, lion tracks, hyena tracks, wolf tracks. The message is clear. We were surrounded, outnumbered, constantly at risk. But we survived, through vigilance, through cooperation, through never letting our guard down. The cave lion is gone now, extinct for 14,000 years, but the fear remains, the instincts, the behaviors. You feel uneasy in the dark. That's cave lions. You sleep poorly in unfamiliar places. That's cave lions. You want people around you at night. That's cave lions. These aren't quirks. They're survival mechanisms, tested over 300,000 years, refined through countless deaths, perfected through natural selection. Every human alive carries cave lion adaptations in our behavior, our psychology, our DNA. We're the descendants of the paranoid ones, the vigilant ones, the ones who never truly relaxed. The relaxed ones didn't make it. They became food. Their genes died with them. We carry forward the genetics of survivors, of people who lived in constant low-level fear, who checked the shadows, who kept the fire burning, who stayed together. That's our inheritance, not just from cave lions, from all the predators that hunted us. But cave lions were special. They hunted us the longest, across the widest range, with the most success. They shaped us, made us what we are, gave us the anxiety and vigilance that eventually let us dominate the planet. We won, but we carry the scars, the memories, the instincts. Every time you feel watched in the dark, every time you check over your shoulder, every time you can't sleep in a strange place, that's cave lions, still hunting us, still shaping our behavior, even from extinction. The short-faced bear was the stuff of nightmares, Arctodus simus, the giant short-faced bear, standing 12 feet tall on its hind legs, weighing up to 2,000 pounds, the largest mammalian land predator in North America, ever. It lived from about 800,000 years ago until 11,000 years ago, right alongside humans, hunting the same territories, competing for the same prey. and sometimes hunting us. Here's what made it different from modern bears. Modern grizzlies are omnivores. They eat berries, roots, fish, insects, meat when they can get it, but mostly plants. The short-faced bear was pure carnivore, built for killing, specialized for it. Look at the skull. Long, narrow, powerful jaws, teeth designed for shearing meat, not grinding plants, not crushing bones like hyenas, slicing, cutting, processing flesh. The legs were long, proportionally longer than any bear alive today. This thing could run. Fast. Scientists estimate it could hit 40 miles per hour, maybe faster. A grizzly tops out around 35, and grizzlies are terrifying when they charge. Imagine something bigger, faster, more aggressive. That's what early Americans faced. The short-faced bear ranged across North America, from Alaska to Mexico, from coast to coast. Anywhere there was prey, it went. Fossil sites show it preferred open country, grasslands, prairies, places where it could use its speed. It hunted during the day. Unlike cave lions or saber-toothed cats, it didn't need darkness, didn't need ambush. It just ran things down, chased them until they collapsed, then killed them. Paleontologists debate whether it was a pure predator or a scavenger. The evidence suggests both. The legs say predator, built for pursuit, for covering ground fast. But the teeth show wear patterns consistent with scavenging, gnawing on bones, processing carcasses other predators left behind. Probably it did both. Killed when it could, stole kills when convenient, used its size to intimidate other predators away from food. Nothing could stop it. Nothing could fight it. It was too big, too strong, too fast. Humans arriving in North America 15,000 years ago walked into its territory. Small groups, maybe a few hundred people, spreading slowly south from Alaska. They had spears, fire, stone tools, intelligence, but they'd never seen anything like the short-faced bear. One fossil site in Missouri tells a grim story. Human remains mixed with short-faced bear bones. The humans show trauma, broken bones, bite marks. The bear was eating there, processing a kill. Humans came too, close, or the bear saw them as prey. Either way, it ended badly. Another site in Wyoming shows something different. A short-faced bear skeleton with a spear point embedded in its ribs, deep, between the ribs, into the chest cavity. Someone killed this bear, stabbed it, got close enough to drive a spear into its body. That's either incredibly brave or incredibly desperate. Probably both. The bear probably charged. Someone stood their ground, braced the spear, let the bear impale itself. Or maybe they ambushed it, wounded it, tracked it until it weakened, finished it off. Either way, this was dangerous. Deadly dangerous. Modern bear attacks are terrifying. People survive grizzly attacks sometimes, play dead, get mauled but live. Nobody survived a short-faced bear attack. Not without help, not without weapons, not without fire. The size difference was too great, the power too overwhelming. Think about what 2,000 pounds means. That's a small car, moving at 40 miles per hour. With claws and teeth, one swipe could break your spine, shatter your skull, tear off limbs, and it was fast. You couldn't outrun it, couldn't climb away, couldn't hide. Your only chance was fighting, together, with weapons, with fire. Early Americans learned this fast. Stay in groups. Never wander alone. Keep weapons ready. Keep fire burning. The archaeological record shows something interesting. Sites with short-faced bear fossils nearby show different human behaviour. More defensive positioning. Camps on high ground, near cliffs, places with natural barriers, more weapons, more spear points, more tools designed for fighting, not just hunting. Humans adapted, changed tactics, became more cautious, more prepared, but the cost was high. We don't know how many people died to short-faced bears. The fossil record doesn't preserve most deaths, but we can guess, based on territory overlap, based on bear population estimates, based on how often they crossed paths, probably hundreds, died, maybe thousands. Over the few thousand years they coexisted, that's significant. For small human populations, every death mattered. Every loss was catastrophic. One person killed by a bear meant one less hunter, one less mother, one less person to pass on knowledge. Groups that lost too many people didn't survive, couldn't maintain themselves, disappeared. The groups that made it were the careful ones, the prepared ones, the ones who took the threat seriously. Here's what's fascinating. The short-faced bear went extinct around 11,000 years ago, right when human populations were expanding. Climate change played a role. The Ice Age ended. Megafauna declined. Prey animals disappeared. But humans were a factor too. We competed for food, killed their prey, pushed them out of prime territory. We probably killed bears directly too, not for sport, for survival, for safety. A short-faced bear near your camp was a death sentence. You couldn't coexist. One of you had to go, so humans organised, hunted them, drove them away, killed them when possible. Not easy, not safe, but necessary. Over time, bear populations dropped, fragmented, isolated, then disappeared. We didn't hunt them to extinction deliberately, but we contributed, made their survival harder, took away their advantages. The last short-faced bears probably lived in marginal habitats, mountains, remote areas, places humans hadn't reached yet. Then they were gone, extinct, just fossils and memories. But they left their mark on us, on human behaviour in North America. Look at Native American stories, across different tribes, different regions, different languages. They all have bear stories, giant bears, monster bears, bears that hunt humans. These stories are ancient, passed down through generations. They describe something real, something remembered. The details match. Huge size, incredible speed, unstoppable power, man-eater. These aren't myths, they're history, oral history, preserved in stories because writing didn't exist yet. The fear was real, the threat was real, the memory persisted. Even today, people in bear country feel it. That unease, that vigilance, that knowledge that something bigger and stronger shares the landscape. That's not irrational, it's inherited. Genetic memory, cultural memory, passed down from people who lived with real threats. The short-faced bear is gone, but the fear remains, the caution, the respect for large predators. You feel nervous in wild places. That's not weakness, that's wisdom, ancient wisdom, earned through death and survival. Your ancestors faced the short-faced bear. Some died, some lived. The ones who lived were careful, prepared, respectful of danger. You carry their caution, their vigilance, their survival instincts, every time you check your surroundings in the wilderness, every time you feel watched, every time you move carefully through unknown territory. That's them. That's the survivors, still protecting you, still keeping you alive. The short-faced bear taught humans something important. We're not invincible. We're not safe just because we're smart. The world has teeth, big teeth, fast teeth, deadly teeth. Survival requires respect, preparation, community, vigilance. Those lessons served us well, not just against bears, against everything, against all the threats we faced. We survived because we learned, because we adapted, because we never forgot what it meant to be prey. The short-faced bear was one teacher among many. but it was a harsh teacher, an unforgiving one. It killed the careless, the unprepared, the overconfident. It let the careful ones live, the vigilant ones, the ones who never relaxed, who never assumed safety. We descend from those survivors. We carry their lessons, their fears, their hard-won wisdom. The bear is extinct, but the lesson lives on. In our behaviour, our instincts, our DNA. Stay alert, stay together, stay prepared, stay alive. That's the gift of the short-faced bear, wrapped in terror, delivered through death, but a gift nonetheless. We're here because our ancestors learned, because they survived, because they never forgot. Wild dogs don't look that dangerous. They're smaller than wolves, weigh maybe 50 pounds, lean, almost delicate looking. That's deceptive. African wild dogs are the most successful predators in Africa. More successful than lions, more than leopards, more than hyenas. Their kill rate is 80%. 8 out of 10 hunts end with a kill. Lions succeed about 30% of the time. Leopards maybe 40%. Hyenas around 50%. Wild dogs? 80%. They don't hunt alone. That's the key. They work as packs. Coordinated, strategic, relentless. A pack can have 20 dogs, sometimes more. They spread out, surround prey, cut off escape routes. One dog chases. When it tires, another takes over, then another. They rotate. Fresh legs constantly. The prey runs until it can't anymore, until its muscles give out, until it collapses. Then the pack moves in, fast, efficient. The kill happens in minutes. This wasn't unique to Africa. Wild dogs ranged across continents, different species, same strategy. Europe had them, Asia, the Americas. Everywhere humans lived, pack hunters lived too. Dire wolves in North America hunted in packs, bigger than modern wolves, stronger jaws, built for taking down huge prey. They weighed up to 150 pounds, stood 3 feet tall at the shoulder. Their bite force was twice that of grey wolves. Fossil sites show them hunting together. Multiple wolves dying in the same tar pits, same floods. They stayed together even when trapped. That's pack loyalty. That's coordination. Dholes in Asia still hunt this way. Red dogs, smaller than wolves, but deadly in groups. A pack of 20 dholes can take down a tiger. They harass it, bite from all sides, wear it down. Eventually the tiger falls. If they can kill tigers, humans were easy. Early humans faced this constantly, not individual. Predators, groups, coordinated attacks, multiple threats at once. You can fight one animal, maybe, with weapons, with fire, with luck. But 5, 10, 20? No chance. Pack hunters changed everything about human survival. You couldn't just be tough. You had to be smart. Smarter than the pack. Watch how wild dogs hunt today. They communicate, constant communication. Sounds, body language, coordinated movements. They assign roles. Some chase, some cut off escape, some wait in ambush. They adapt mid-hunt. If prey goes left, the formation shifts. If it turns back, they adjust. This requires intelligence, planning, understanding what others are doing. Early humans had to counter this, had to develop their own pack tactics, stay in groups, never wander alone, post lookouts, create defensive positions, use weapons together, coordinate attacks, protect the weak. We learned pack behavior from pack hunters. Had to. It was the only way to survive. Archaeological sites show this. Evolution. Early sites of scattered remains. People alone. Vulnerable. Later sites show clustering. People staying close. Defensive arrangements. Group burials. The ones who learned to work together survived. The loners died. Hyenas were worse than wild dogs. Much worse. Spotted hyenas. Crocuta crocuta. They've been around for millions of years, hunting humans the whole time. People think hyenas are scavengers. They're not. They're active hunters, successful ones. They kill 95% of what they eat. Only 5% is scavenged. A hyena can weigh 150 pounds. Females are bigger than males, stronger, more aggressive. Their jaws are the most powerful of any mammal their size. Bite force over 1,100 pounds per square inch. They can crack elephant bones, crush skulls, break through anything, and they hunt in packs. Clans of up to 80 individuals. Imagine 80 hyenas working together, hunting you. They hunt at night mostly, when humans are vulnerable, when we can't see well. They're smart, too. Really smart. Problem-solving intelligence that rivals primates. Researchers tested this, gave hyenas puzzles, complex ones. They solved them faster than chimpanzees. They remember individuals, hold grudges, plan revenge. One study in Tanzania showed hyenas tracking specific humans, following them for days, waiting for opportunities. A researcher left camp alone at night. A hyena clan followed him, silently, just watching, learning his patterns. He only noticed when he used a flashlight, saw eyes, dozens of eyes, surrounding him. They weren't attacking, not yet, just gathering information, figuring him out. That's terrifying. That's intelligence. Early humans faced this constantly. Hyenas learned where camps were, when people slept, who was weak, who was young. They tested defenses, probed for weaknesses, waited for mistakes. One mistake was all they needed. Cave sites in Africa show hyena attacks. Human bones dragged into hyena dens, gnawed, processed, eaten. Not just one or two, dozens, hundreds, over time. At Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania, researchers found a layer of human remains, mixed with hyena bones, hyena teeth marks on human skulls. This wasn't a battle. This was a feast. The hyenas won. Completely. Another site in South Africa shows something different. Human remains in a cave, but also burned hyena bones. The humans fought back, used fire, drove the hyenas away, killed some. But at what cost? How many people died before they figured out fire worked? Hyenas are still dangerous today. They kill more people in Africa than lions do. They come into villages at night, take children, attack sleeping people, drag them away. This isn't rare. It happens regularly. Hundreds of attacks per year. Modern humans with walls and doors and lights still die to hyenas. Imagine ancient humans. No walls, no doors, no lights except fire, just darkness and sounds, movement in the shadows. The psychological impact was massive. Constant fear, constant vigilance, never relaxing. You couldn't sleep deeply. Someone had to stay awake, always watching, always listening. That's exhausting, physically, mentally. It wears you down. But the alternative was death, quick death, dragged into darkness, torn apart. Pack hunters forced humans to become social, not just social, cooperative. We had to trust each other, depend on each other, work together perfectly. One person failing meant everyone dying. One person sleeping on watch. One person running instead of fighting. That killed groups. So we developed social bonds, strong ones, emotional connections that made betrayal unthinkable. We punished cowards, exiled them, left them to die alone. We rewarded bravery, cooperation, self-sacrifice. The groups that did this survived. The groups that didn't disappeared. This shaped human psychology, made us tribal, made us loyal, made us willing to die for the group. That's not cultural. That's biological. Millions of years of pack, hunters selecting for cooperation. Your instinct to protect family. That's pack hunters. Your fear of being alone. Pack hunters. Your need for belonging. Pack hunters. They made us what we are. social animals, cooperative hunters, pack creatures ourselves. We survived by becoming what hunted us, by learning their tactics, by using their strategies against them. We formed packs, hunted together, protected each other, became more dangerous than any individual predator, but we paid the price in blood, in fear, in constant vigilance. The scars remain in our behavior, our psychology, our social structures. We're never comfortable alone in darkness. That's not irrational. That's memory. We sleep better with others nearby. That's not weakness. That's survival instinct. We form groups instinctively, create hierarchies, assign roles. That's pack behavior. We learned it from the animals that hunted us, the ones that forced us to adapt or die. Most humans chose adaptation. Some chose death. We descend from the adapters, from the ones who stayed together, who fought together, who survived together. Pack hunters taught us cooperation, through terror, through death, through endless pressure. The lesson stuck. We're still pack animals, still cooperative, still stronger together than apart. That's their legacy. Written in our DNA, carved into our psychology. We survived the packs by becoming a pack, the most dangerous pack ever. But we remember, deep down, what it was like before, when we were prey, when darkness meant death, when being alone meant dying, when every night was a gamble. That memory keeps us human, keeps us humble, keeps us together. The pack hunters are mostly gone now. We outlasted them, outlived them, won. But they shaped us first, made us what we needed to be, forced us to evolve. We owe them something, our social nature, our cooperation, our humanity itself, born in terror, forged in blood, perfected through survival. That's what pack hunters gave us, the gift of each other. So after everything we have covered, the claws, the teeth, the speed, the teamwork, it's natural to ask, how did we survive? Why are we here at all when so many others vanished? We weren't the biggest. We weren't the strongest. We weren't even the smartest animal in every way, yet we're the last humans left. What let us make it, when almost every force of nature was stacked against us? There's a theory that gets at the core of this puzzle. It's called the paradox of survival. It goes like this. The very things that made us vulnerable, the things that made us easy prey, also forced us to develop the traits that saved us. In other words, weakness became strength. Fear became a tool. Being hunted turned us into hunters of a different kind. Let's break that down. For most animals, survival means getting tougher, faster, or sneakier. If you're a mouse, you get better at hiding. If you're a deer, you run faster. But for early humans, none of those options really worked. We couldn't outclimb leopards. We couldn't outrun lions or bears. We didn't have thick skin or sharp claws. There was no single trait, no one big advantage that could save us. So we went a different way. Instead of doubling down on physical strength, our ancestors doubled down on thinking, on planning, on creativity. They looked for patterns. They saw connections between things that other animals missed. They remembered where predators hunted. They guessed what might happen next. They imagined dangers that weren't even there yet. For most animals, that kind of worry is a waste of energy. For us, it became a superpower. Here's the strange part. The very fact that we were hunted so often probably made our brains better. Constant pressure forces change. If you're always one mistake away from being eaten, you start to value any edge you can get. Maybe it's a sharper stick. Maybe it's a new way to warn others. Maybe it's just the habit of always looking over your shoulder. Over thousands of generations, these tiny advantages added up. Scientists see the results in our brains. Compared to other animals, our fear response is overbuilt. Our amygdala, the part that triggers fear and anxiety, is much larger than it should be. That's not a flaw. It's a memory of all the dangers our ancestors faced. Most animals reset after a scare. Humans never really relax. We keep scanning, keep worrying. It's exhausting, but it's also why we're still here. But there's another layer. Our survival wasn't just about the brain. It was about the group. We talked earlier about cooperation, but let's look at what that really means. Most animals live in groups for safety. Birds flock, fish school, antelope herd together. But human groups are different. They're not just clusters of bodies. They're networks of minds. Think about what happens in a human group under threat. People warn each other. They share what they know. Someone sees a shadow in the grass and the whole group changes direction. Someone invents a new weapon and suddenly everyone's safer. One person's idea can save dozens. That's something you almost never see in the animal world. And this is where it gets really interesting. The need to survive didn't just shape our bodies or our brains, it shaped our culture. Early humans developed rituals, stories, songs, myths about monsters in the dark. These weren't just entertainment. They were survival tools. They taught children what to fear. They reminded adults not to get careless. The stories stuck because they worked. Look at the evidence from ancient campsites. In many places, archaeologists find circles of stones around fire pits. The stones aren't just for cooking, they're for safety. They create a barrier. They keep the fire from going out. They mark the line between safety and danger. In some sites, people even stacked thorn bushes around their sleeping area. Painstaking work, but worth it if it meant living another night. Sometimes the group went even further. In a cave in Spain, researchers found evidence of an early alarm system. Strings of shells and bones hung at the cave entrance. If something brushed against them, they rattled. Not high-tech, but enough to wake someone on guard duty. Enough to buy a few seconds to grab a spear or shout a warning. It's simple, but it shows the power of planning ahead. We also see it in the tools. Early stone tools were often made together in groups. People taught each other how to shape a hand axe, how to sharpen a spear. These weren't secrets. They were shared knowledge, passed down, generation to generation. The more people who knew, the safer the group became. But why didn't other animals do this? Why didn't they invent their own cultures? Here's the thing. Most animals don't need to. Their bodies are already perfect for their environment. They're born knowing what to do. Humans weren't. We had to learn everything the hard way. Every mistake cost lives. That pain forced us to remember, to teach, to invent. There's another twist to the paradox. The more we worked together, the more we depended on each other. That sounds obvious, but it had consequences. If someone broke the rules, if they stole food or left their post or lied about a threat, the whole group could die. So humans started to enforce social norms. They punished cheaters. They honored heroes. They told stories about loyalty and betrayal. Over time, these became the roots of law, of morality, of everything we call human society. It wasn't just about staying alive. It was about building trust. You had to know that the person next to you would watch your back, that they wouldn't run if things got scary. This trust went deep. It shaped how we raised children, how we mourned the dead, even how we shared food. Small groups could survive without it. Larger groups couldn't. Some scientists think this need for trust explains why humans are so good at reading faces, at hearing tiny changes in someone's voice, at spotting lies. These skills aren't just for fun, they're survival tools. If you can tell who's afraid, who's angry, who's hiding something, you can steer clear of danger, or you can rally help when you need it most. And then there's the flip side. The same pressure that made us cooperative also made us suspicious. Outsiders were dangerous. Strangers might bring new ideas, but they also brought risk. Many early human groups were small, tight-knit, and wary of anyone who looked or acted differently. That suspicion kept the groups safe, but it also set the stage for future conflicts. The line between us and them was drawn early and deep. So the paradox is this: we survived by being vulnerable. Our weaknesses forced us to become clever. Our fears made us careful. Our lack of natural weapons made us invent new ones. Our need for others made us social, but also made us wary. The things that nearly destroyed us are the same things that made us human. You can see echoes of this today. Why do so many people worry about things that will probably never happen? Why do we tell scary stories even when we're safe in our beds? Why do we form groups, clubs, teams, even when we don't have to? It's the same old pattern. The memory of danger is still inside us, even if the predators are mostly gone. Let's look at a few more details. One big change in human evolution was the way we started to use tools, not just as individuals, but as teams. Imagine a group of people hunting a mammoth. One person alone can't do it. But a dozen people, working together with spears, traps, and coordinated plans, suddenly the impossible becomes possible. This teamwork didn't just help with hunting, it worked for defense too. If a pride of a lion's attacked, a group of humans could throw stones, wave torches, bang sticks. Even if they couldn't kill the lions, they could make themselves too much trouble to bother with. Sometimes that's all it took. The archaeological sites back this up. There are places where you find layers of burned animal bones mixed with human tools. That means people were using fire not just for warmth, but for defense. Fire kept predators at bay. It let humans claim nights that used to belong to other animals. But fire did more than that. It created a space for talking, for sharing stories, for planning the next day. Around the fire, people could relax a little, even if just for a moment. They could teach children what to fear and what to fight for. They could build the bonds that made the group strong. And here's something else. Our memory for bad things, trauma, fear, loss, is stronger than our memory for good things. Psychologists call this negativity bias. It means we remember threats more clearly than rewards. That's not a bug. It's a survival hack. If you forget where the leopard hunts, you die. If you remember, you live. That's why ancient memories of danger shape our dreams, our stories, our fears. There's also a theory that says language itself grew out of this need to share warnings. Early words might have been simple: lion, snake, fire. But as groups got bigger, the need for more detailed warnings grew. There's a lion by the river. Don't eat those berries. Complex language meant better survival. It let us share things no other animal could. And as language grew, so did everything else. Stories, myths, plans, jokes. A group that could talk in detail could plan an ambush, could remember who owed who, could build alliances, make peace, or start wars, all because of the pressure to survive in a dangerous world. What fascinates me about this is how deep it goes. Even today, in our safest cities, we still follow these old instincts. We lock our doors, we check behind us at night. We huddle with friends in scary places. The world has changed, but our wiring hasn't. The old dangers are gone, but the habits remain. There's even evidence in our bodies. The way our eyes see movement in the dark, the way our ears pick up sudden noises, the way our hearts race when we hear a creak at midnight. These aren't just random quirks. They're echoes of a time when missing one detail could be fatal. Our sleep patterns show the same thing. Most people don't sleep deeply all night. We wake up, check our surroundings, then drift off again. In big groups, people take turns staying alert. Even today, in camps or shared houses, there's usually someone awake. These patterns go back thousands of generations. And here's a final twist to the paradox. The same fear that kept us alive also made us curious. If you're always watching for danger, you start to notice other things too. Changes in the weather, patterns in the stars, the tracks left by animals. Curiosity grew out of vigilance. The habit of watching the world closely because your life depended on it. That curiosity eventually led to science, art, and everything we call civilization. The need to survive made us careful. Being careful made us observant. Being observant made us curious. Curiosity changed everything. So the predators that hunted us didn't just shape our bodies or our habits. They shaped our minds, our cultures, even our dreams. The paradox is that we owe our greatest strengths to our greatest dangers. Every time we gather around a fire, tell a story, or check a shadow at night, we're living out the same old survival dance. It's humbling when you think about it. We're not here because we were the best or the strongest. We're here because we adapted in the only way we could, by changing not just what we did, but who we are. The predators gave us fear, but fear gave us everything else. And now, as we look back at the dangers of the past, maybe there's a kind of gratitude mixed in. The world was never safe, but it was always fascinating, and that's why we're still here, asking questions, telling stories, and looking for meaning in the darkness. Next, let's see what happens when the group becomes the answer. When survival isn't just about fear or cleverness, but about the power of many working as one. Let's take a step back and really look at this idea. Safety in numbers. It seems simple. Animals gather in groups so the weakest aren't picked off as easily. But when you look at humans, it goes much deeper than that. Safety in numbers didn't just keep us alive. It changed the way we think, the way we solve problems, even the way we feel. In a way, it shaped the entire story of us. Start with the basics. Most animals band together for one reason, not to get eaten. Gazelles run in herds, fish form schools, birds flock. The math is simple. If you're one of 100, your odds are better than if you're alone. Predators can't eat everyone, so you blend in. You hide behind others. Sometimes you survive just because you're not the slowest. But humans took this to a new level. For us, being part of a group wasn't just about blending in. It was about working together on purpose. We didn't just huddle and hope. We planned. We watched each other's backs. We created systems that made the group smarter than any one person. Picture a small camp in the past, maybe 10, maybe 20 people. Night falls. Somewhere out in the dark, something is watching. A lion, maybe, or a pack of wild dogs. Alone, you wouldn't stand a chance. But together, things change. Some people sleep near the fire, others stay awake, listening. If someone hears a branch snap, they whisper to the others. Maybe a few grab burning sticks or rocks. They don't wait for the attack. They get ready. Even a small warning can make the difference between life and death. Here's where it gets interesting. In a group, one person's mistake doesn't doom everyone. If someone gets tired and drifts off, someone else is still alert. If a child cries out, someone soothes them while another keeps watch. It's a system with backups, built-in safety nets. The group covers for each other's weaknesses. It's not just about defense either. Look at hunting. Alone, a human can't bring down much, maybe a rabbit or a bird, but working together, with roles divided, we could hunt animals far bigger than ourselves. Some people would drive prey toward others lying in wait. Some would set traps, while others watched for danger. Communication made this possible. Simple signals, a wave, a shout, a certain whistle, could change the plan instantly. Archaeologists found evidence of this teamwork everywhere. In ancient sites, you find animal bones with marks from different weapons. Sometimes dozens of spear points are found around a big animal. Too many for one person. Someone had to organize that. Someone had to say, you take the left, I'll take the right. When I signal, we move together. That's advanced thinking for any animal. But the real magic came from sharing information. Imagine someone in the group notices that a certain patch of grass always hides snakes, or that a certain tree always has fruit in the spring. Instead of keeping it to themselves, they tell others. Maybe they show their children. Maybe they tell a story about it around the fire. Suddenly everyone knows. The whole group benefits, safer, better fed, more relaxed. This goes beyond simple survival. The more people share, the more knowledge grows. One person figures out a better way to sharpen a stone. Another learns how to tie a stronger knot. Soon the group has dozens of small improvements. Over time, these add up. You get traditions, skills, even technology. Nothing fancy at first, but enough to set us apart. Some scientists call this the ratchet effect. Here's how it works. Animals can invent things, but those things usually fade when the animal dies. With humans, new tricks stick around. They get passed down. The group doesn't forget. Each generation starts a little ahead of the last. The ratchet only moves one way, forward. But none of this works if people don't trust each other. Cooperation is risky. If you warn someone about a predator, you might save them and not yourself. If you share food, there's less for you. Why do it? For humans, the answer is reputation. Groups remember who helps and who doesn't. If you're generous, people will help you later. If you're selfish, you might get left behind. This creates a kind of invisible web. Everyone is watching. Everyone is being watched. It keeps people honest most of the time. There's an emotional side to this too. Scientists have found that strong social bonds actually lower stress. If you're alone, every sound in the dark feels like a threat. In a group, you relax a little. You know someone else is watching. You can let your guard down, even for a moment. That's huge. Chronic stress wears down the body. It makes you sick, weak, distracted. Safety in numbers isn't just about avoiding danger. It's about getting enough rest to face the next day. There are some wild facts here. In some hunter-gatherer groups today, people share almost all their food. A good hunter will give away most of the meat. Why? Because next time, someone else might get lucky. It's a safety net that only works if everyone plays along. If you're greedy, the group will notice and they won't forget. This keeps the group strong. But there's another side to group living. When people depend on each other, they also have to solve arguments. Disagreements can turn deadly. If two people fight, it can split the group. So over time, humans invented ways to patch things up. Sometimes it's a ritual. Sometimes it's a joke to break the tension. Sometimes it's just talking things out by the fire. The group survives because it knows how to heal itself. Think about predators looking at a group of humans. A lone person is an easy target. A group with torches, stones, and loud voices is a problem. Most predators don't want to fight. They want an easy meal. If a group makes enough noise, throws enough rocks, or looks big enough, the predator often gives up. This is called mobbing. Birds do it to hawks. Monkeys do it to leopards. Humans perfected it. There's even evidence that early humans used this to protect their young. In some places, you find children buried together, not alone. This suggests that kids stuck together for safety, even in death. The group's instinct was to protect its weakest members. Here's something else. Groups made us more flexible. If one person got sick, others could take over their work. If an elder remembered where water was in a drought, that knowledge could save dozens of lives. If someone invented a new way to fish, the whole group ate better. The group's strength was always more than the sum of its parts. Sometimes different groups met and merged. Maybe two bands of people bumped into each other by a river. At first, there might be tension or fear, but if they decided to cooperate, they could trade stories, tools, and even members. This mixing spread ideas faster. It also made the group more diverse. New skills, new genes, new stories. Over time, this helped humans adapt to every corner of the world. Of course, groups could also fight. Competition for food, water, or safe places often led to conflict. But most of the time, the benefits of staying together outweighed the risks. A group that fell apart was easy prey. A group that stuck together could survive almost anything. The way people organized their groups mattered. In some places, families stayed together for life. In others, people moved between groups. Some groups had leaders. Others made decisions by talking things out. There was no single way to do it. The main thing was that everyone played a part. Even kids had jobs, collecting firewood, watching for danger, learning by copying adults. Here's a cool detail. The way humans communicate in groups is special. We use not just words, but faces, hands, and body language. A raised eyebrow, a quick glance, a nod. All these tiny signals help us share information fast. In a dangerous world, this is priceless. You can warn someone without making a sound. You can share a plan with just a look. Sharing food was a big deal too. Some researchers think the act of eating together helped create trust. Around the fire, people relaxed, laughed, and told stories. These moments bonded the group. They weren't just about filling your stomach. They were about building a sense of us. There's even evidence that laughter itself is a social tool. Laughter makes people feel safe. It breaks tension. It brings the group together. Some primates laugh, but humans took it further. We laugh at jokes, at mistakes, even at fear. It's a way to signal, we're okay, the danger is past. Let's talk about the flip side. What happens when someone leaves the group? In the past, being alone was almost a death sentence. You'd lose not just protection, but knowledge, help, and comfort. That's why humans developed such a strong fear of loneliness. Even today, being left out hurts more than most physical pain. It's an ancient warning system. Alone, you're vulnerable. Together, you're strong. But groups come with rules. You can't just do whatever you want. There are limits, unspoken and spoken. Some things are forbidden, some are required. Over time, these rules turned into customs and later into laws. The group's survival depended on everyone following the rules, at least most of the time. Punishment was part of the system. If someone was dangerous or broke trust, they could be shunned or even pushed out. That sounds harsh, but for the group it was often necessary. One person's selfishness could put everyone at risk. So humans learned to watch for troublemakers. This is why we're so sensitive to fairness and cheating, even now. What fascinates me about this is how these old patterns still run our lives. We form friend groups, clubs, online communities, even fandoms. We cheer for teams. We join causes. Half the time, we don't even know why. It's just part of being human. You see the same thing in emergencies. When disaster strikes, people help each other. Neighbours check on each other. Strangers link arms to form rescue lines. It's instinct. It's the ancient group behaviour coming out when it is needed most. Let's look at a real example from the past. In the Chauvet cave in France, there are footprints from over 30,000 years ago. The prints show a group walking together. Adults, children, even a wolf or dog. The tracks twist and turn, sometimes overlapping. They're not random, they show people moving as a unit, pausing here and there. Maybe someone checked a shadow. Maybe a child stumbled and was helped up. They moved together, step by step, through the dark. Another example. In North America, at a site called Olson Chubbuck, archaeologists found the remains of hundreds of bison. The animals were killed in a single event by a group of hunters driving them into a ravine. No single person could do this. It took planning, teamwork, and trust. The meat was shared, so everyone had enough to survive. And here's a detail that sticks with me. In some ancient graves, people were buried with gifts, tools, beads, even food. This wasn't just about honouring the dead. It was a message to the group. We remember our own. We care for each other even after death. That sense of belonging is powerful. Safety in numbers did something else too. It let us specialise. Not everyone had to be good at everything. Some people became experts at making tools. Others learned to track animals. Some remembered stories or watched the weather. By dividing up the work, the group became more efficient. Everyone gained from each person's skills. Over time, this led to bigger and bigger groups. Villages, towns, eventually cities. Each step added new layers of organisation, new ways to keep people working together, even when they didn't all know each other personally. But the basics never changed. At the heart of every human community is the same old promise. We'll protect each other. We'll share what we have. We'll watch for danger together. This is why betrayal hurts so much. If someone breaks the group's trust, the harm goes deep. It's not just about one lie or mistake. It's about shaking the foundation the group is built on. And yet, groups also forgive. They heal, rebuild, and move forward. That's part of what made us so adaptable. We weren't the fastest or the strongest, but we were the most connected. Safety in numbers made us human in ways we don't always notice. It let us survive in a world full of threats. It gave us space to think, to dream, to invent. It made us more than just animals with sharp sticks. It made us a species with stories, laughter, rules, and hope. And as the world changed, new dangers, new challenges, the group adapted. We found new ways to work together, new ways to share knowledge, new ways to build trust. Next, let's see how the tools we made gave these groups even more power. How simple inventions turned groups from just being safer to being truly dangerous to anything that threatened them. When you imagine early humans, it's tempting to picture them as clever but helpless, running from big cats, hiding from bears. But that's not the whole story. What really set us apart wasn't just our brains or our teamwork. It was our ability to make things, real things, tools, weapons, objects that change the rules of the game. Think about how simple our bodies are compared to most predators. We don't have claws or fangs. Our skin is thin. Our bite is weak. Our hands can't crush bones or tear flesh. If you left a person in the wild with nothing but their body, they wouldn't last long. But give that same person a sharp stone, and suddenly everything changes. That stone is more than just a rock. It's an extension of the body, a new set of teeth, a new set of claws, something you can shape, use, and pass down. The first tools weren't fancy. The oldest ones we've found are about 2.6 million years old. They come from places like Gona in Ethiopia. These were just rocks with one sharp edge, not even shaped on purpose sometimes, but they worked. They could cut meat, smash bones, scrape hides. That was enough to make a difference. Over time, these tools got better. Early humans learned to strike stones together at just the right angle, to chip away small flakes, leaving behind a sharper edge. This wasn't random. It was skill. Learned, practiced, improved. If you ever try it yourself, you'll see how hard it actually is. Getting a flake off a rock takes patience and practice. But once you know the trick, you can do it again and again. Here's a cool detail. The most common early tool is called the older one chopper. It's just a round stone, broken to create a sharp edge on one side. But it's everywhere you look in early human sites, in Africa, Asia, even parts of Europe. For almost 1,000,000 years, people made these choppers the same way. The design didn't change much. Why? Because it worked. But eventually something shifted. Around 1.7 million years ago, a new kind of tool appeared, the hand axe. These are sometimes called Acheulean tools, after a site in France where they were first found. A hand axe is bigger than a chopper. It's shaped on both sides to make a teardrop point. Think of it as the Swiss Army knife of the Stone Age. You could cut, chop, dig, scrape, even throw it if you needed to. These tools took real skill to make. You had to plan each strike. Know what you wanted before you started. Some of the best ones look almost perfect, smooth, symmetrical, balanced. Making a hand axe isn't just about strength, it's about thinking ahead. You have to picture the finished tool in your mind, decide where to hit, control your force. If you mess up, the whole thing breaks and you start over. This kind of planning is rare in the animal world. Some birds and chimps use sticks or rocks, but they don't shape them. They don't plan 10 steps ahead. Early humans did. Here's what's wild. Acheulean hand axes show up everywhere. Africa, the Middle East, India, Europe. For more than 1,000,000 years, people made these tools nearly the same way. That's longer than any technology has lasted since. Cars, computers, even writing. None of those have lasted so long without changing. It shows how useful and reliable these tools were. Now you might wonder, what's so important about a stone knife? It's not just about cutting. With a sharp edge, you can butcher animals more easily. You can get at the marrow in bones, which is packed with calories. You can skin hides for clothing and shelter. You can dig for roots and tubers. A sharp tool means you can eat things other animals can't. That's a huge advantage. There's something else too. Tools let you defend yourself. If a predator comes close, a group with stones and sticks has a fighting chance. You can throw rocks, jab with sharpened sticks. You're not just running anymore, you're fighting back. That's a big step. It's not just about surviving, it's about changing your place in the food chain. Scientists have found sites where early humans clearly used tools for defense. In some places you find piles of stones near cave entrances. These aren't natural, they were brought there, probably to be used as throwing weapons. Some caves have sharpened wooden spears, dating back hundreds of thousands of years. These weren't used for hunting small animals. They're too large and heavy. More likely, they were for keeping big predators at bay. One famous example comes from Schöningen, Germany. In a brown coal mine, archaeologists found wooden spears that are about 300,000 years old. These spears are shaped carefully, balanced for throwing. The tips are hardened in fire. They're deadly at short range, even against large animals. If you picture a group of people armed with these standing together, you start to see how the balance of power began to shift. But it's not just about weapons. Tools changed how people got food too. With sharp stones, you can cut meat from a carcass that a lion or hyena left behind. You can break open bones for marrow. No animal wastes food like humans do now. Back then, every bite counted. Every scrap was fought over. Tools meant you could get more from every kill, even if you weren't the one who brought the animal down. There's evidence that early humans scavenged from predator kills. At some sites you find stone tools mixed with animal bones that have cut marks, on top of tooth marks from big cats. That tells a story. The predator killed the animal first, then humans showed up, chased the predator away, and used tools to take what was left. That takes guts. You need sharp eyes, quick reflexes, and a willingness to take risks. As tools improved, humans started to become hunters themselves, not just scavengers. The oldest stone-tipped spears are about 500,000 years old. These were made by fitting a sharp stone point onto a wooden shaft. It's harder than it sounds. You have to find the right materials, shape the point, attach it with glue or sinew, but once you have a spear, you can hunt animals you never could before. Bigger prey, more meat, more food for the group. Spear points show up all over the world. In South Africa, at a place called Kathu Pan, archaeologists found stone spear tips that are 500,000 years old. These weren't just thrown. They were probably used for stabbing at close range. It's dangerous work, but it puts you in control. You're not waiting for leftovers anymore. You're taking the risk and the reward. As humans got better at making weapons, the animals around them started to change too. Some predators became more cautious. Others disappeared from certain areas. The balance was shifting. Humans weren't just prey anymore. They were starting to become dangerous. But there's another side to technology that's easy to miss. It's not just about the object itself. It's about what making and using it does to your mind. When you shape a stone tool, you're practicing patience. You're learning from mistakes. You're teaching others. Every time you make a new tool, you're building on what you learned before. That's how culture starts. Not in stories or art, but in the hands, chip by chip, blow by blow. Some scientists think tool making actually changed our brains. It's not just that smart people made better tools. Making tools might have made people smarter. It's a feedback loop. The better you get at making things, the more your brain grows. The more your brain grows, the more you can invent. Over thousands of years, small changes add up. That's how you go from a sharp stone to a hand axe, from a hand axe to a spear, from a spear to a bow and arrow. And here's something that gets overlooked. Tools were shared. Not just the objects, but the know-how. If you learned a better way to make a spear, you showed your group. If you found a stone that was sharper or tougher, you told others where to find it. Knowledge spread, skills improved. This sharing made groups stronger. It kept good ideas from dying out when one person did. There's even evidence that early humans travelled long distances to get the best materials. Some stone tools found in East Africa come from quarries over 50 miles away. That means people were willing to walk for days to get the right kind of rock. It's not just about survival. It's about improvement, about making something better than what you had before. The first technology wasn't just about survival. It was about control. Control over your body. Control over your world. A sharp stone means you don't have to use your teeth. A spear means you don't have to get as close to danger. Every new tool put a little more distance between humans and the things that hunted them. But every step forward came with new challenges. As people made better tools, they had to figure out how to protect what they'd made. If you spend hours shaping a perfect hand axe, you don't want someone else to take it. So, rules began to form. Maybe you traded a tool for food. Maybe you gave it as a gift. Maybe you taught someone how to make their own, in exchange for something else. The beginnings of trade, of fairness, of trust, all tied up in the objects people made. Here's a detail that sticks with me. Some of the oldest art in the world is found on tools. People engraved patterns on hand axes and blades, not just for function, but for meaning. Maybe it was a mark of ownership. Maybe it was a way to show skill. Maybe it was a message. I was here. I made this. You see the start of identity, pride, even beauty, all wrapped up in these simple objects. As technology improved, so did the risks people could take. With better weapons, groups could hunt bigger animals, mammoths, bison, even giant sloths. These hunts were dangerous. People got hurt, but the payoff was huge. Enough meat to feed a whole group for days, even weeks. Success meant you could survive longer droughts, colder winters, bigger threats. But the real magic of early technology was how it let people dream bigger. Once you have tools, you start to imagine what else you can do. What if you could make a sharper point? What if you could tie a stone to a stick? What if you could throw something farther? Each answer led to new inventions. Each invention changed what was possible. There's a theory called cumulative culture. It means that each generation builds on what the last one did. Tools are a perfect example. One person's discovery becomes the next person's starting point. Over time, you get more than just better tools. You get new ways of thinking, new ways of living. And all of this started with simple objects. Stones chipped by hand, wooden spears hardened in the fire, nothing fancy. But these tools were enough to tip the scales, enough to make a group of small, slow, soft humans into something predators had to respect. Here's the thing. Technology isn't just about the objects. It's about the power to change your world. Every tool is a little piece of freedom. Freedom from hunger. Freedom from fear. Freedom to try something new. And as soon as humans started making tools, the world began to change. Not just for us, but for everything around us. Carnivores had to adapt. Prey. Animals had to watch out for new dangers. Even the land itself changed, as people dug, cut, shaped, and built. But the biggest change was inside us. Tools taught us patience, planning, and sharing. They turned small groups into powerful teams. They let us imagine futures that were safer, richer, more interesting. They gave us a handhold in a world that was always trying to shake us loose. So next time you see a simple stone tool in a museum, remember, it's not just a rock. It's the start of something bigger. The first step on a long road. The proof that humans were never just victims. They were creators, problem solvers, dreamers. And as powerful as those first tools were, there was still one thing missing. Something that would change everything again. The next leap wasn't just about chipping stone or sharpening sticks. It was about fire, controlled, harnessed, and used on purpose. Fire wasn't just a tool, it was a game changer. It turned the night from something to fear into something you could survive, even thrive in. That's where the next part of the story leads. Fire changes everything. It's hard to even imagine a world before fire. No warmth at night, no cooked food, no light after sunset, just darkness, cold, and fear. For a long time, humans lived in that world. They made tools, hunted and gathered. But when the sun went down, they were at the mercy of everything that hunted in the dark. Think about how much darkness there really was. In places near the equator, the sun sets quickly. 1 minute you can see, the next you can't. Night comes on fast. It's not like today, where you can flip on a light or even build a fire easily. For most of our history, darkness meant danger. Predators moved quietly. Eyes glowed from the edge of the trees. There was no safety once the last light faded. And then, at some point, people learned to control fire. Not just find it after a lightning strike, but keep it going, carry it from place to place, feed it, protect it from rain and wind. It's hard to pin down exactly when this happened. Some of the oldest signs of fire use are almost 2 million years old. In places like Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa, archaeologists found ash and burned bones deep inside mixed with stone tools. That means people were bringing fire inside, not just finding it outside. But even that doesn't mean they could make fire from scratch. For a long time, fire was probably rare. Maybe you'd get a burning log from a tree struck by lightning. If you were lucky, you could keep it going for days or weeks. If it went out, you had to wait for the next storm or find someone else who still had fire. It was precious. Losing fire could mean freezing or going hungry. Once people figured out how to make fire themselves, everything changed. We don't know exactly when this happened. The best guess is between 400,000 and 1 million years ago. That's a huge range, but that's how thin the evidence is. Making fire leaves almost no trace. The first people who did it left no written record, no stories we can read. Only a few places show signs of repeated burning, layers of ash, or bones cooked at high heat. But those clues are enough to show that At some point, humans went from being afraid of fire to relying on it. So let's look at what fire actually did for early humans. First, the obvious, warmth. Nights can be cold, even in Africa. In colder places, it's even worse. Before fire, the only way to stay warm was to huddle together or find shelter. Animals with thick fur could survive. Humans couldn't. Fire changed that. A group could sit around the flames, sharing heat. It meant survival during cold snaps or bad weather. You didn't have to wait for dawn to move. You could make your own warmth. Second, fire gave light. This might sound simple, but it's huge. Most predators hunt at night. Humans can't see well in the dark. With fire, you could see what was coming. You could watch for eyes shining in the darkness. You could spot snakes, insects, or other dangers before they got too close. Fire made the night less scary. It pushed back the darkness, even if only a little. There's also the matter of cooked food. Raw meat is hard to chew, and even harder to digest. Roots and tubers can be toxic or tough if you don't cook them. Fire makes food safer and easier to eat. It kills parasites and softens fibers. There's a theory that cooking was one of the biggest steps in human evolution. When you cook food, your body spends less energy digesting it. You get more calories from the same bite. That means more energy for your brain. Over thousands of years, that extra energy may have helped our brains grow bigger. Cooking also changes what you can eat. With fire, people could eat plants and animals that would have made them sick before. Burned bones found at ancient camps show that early humans ate a wider range of animals than their neighbours. They roasted marrow bones, cracked them open, and ate every scrap. Nothing went to waste. But here's something people don't always think about. Fire is also a weapon. Not just a tool for warmth or cooking, but a real weapon. Animals are scared of fire. Even big predators, lions, leopards, hyenas, keep their distance. In many places, people used fire to keep camps safe. They'd build a ring of flames around their sleeping area. Some groups still do this today. It's a simple but powerful barrier. The light and heat tell animals to stay away. Imagine how different that made things. Before fire, sleeping at night was risky. Something could sneak up in the dark and you'd never know. With fire, you had a warning. If a predator got close, you could see it. If it tried to cross the flames, the heat would drive it back. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than nothing. Fire was also useful for hunting. Some groups used it to flush animals out of hiding. By burning grass or brush, they drove prey into open ground or toward waiting hunters. This isn't just a guess. There's evidence from Australia, Africa, and even North America that people used fire to shape the land. They burned fields on purpose, creating fresh grass that attracted animals. Over time, this changed the landscape itself. Places that burned regularly grew different plants. Animals followed the new growth, and people followed the animals. Fire let humans adapt to almost any environment. They could survive in cold forests, dry grasslands, and even deserts. With fire, you can boil water to make it safe. You can dry meat to keep it from rotting. You can smoke hides to make them last longer. The list goes on and on. But controlling fire isn't easy. It takes skill and attention. If you're careless, a spark can burn down your shelter, or worse, an entire forest. Early humans had to learn not just how to make fire, but how to keep it under control. That skill was passed down, generation after generation. Kids grew up watching their parents tend the flames. They learned when to add wood, how to keep it burning through rain, how to put it out safely. Fire also changed how people thought about time. Before fire, night was dead time. You couldn't do much after sunset. Maybe tell a few stories, then sleep. With fire, you could stay awake longer. You could talk, plan, teach, and even make new tools. Some archaeologists think this extra time around the fire led to more complex language. People had to fill the hours. They talked, argued, told stories. This is where culture starts to grow. There's another angle too. Fire changed our social lives. Sitting around a fire is different from sitting in the dark. The light draws people together. Faces are visible. Voices carry further. It's a place to share food, news, or secrets. In many cultures, the fire is the heart of the group. Even today, people are drawn to campfires, fireplaces, or even candles. There's something comforting about flames. Maybe it's an echo of our deep past. Let's talk about a specific example. Wonderwork Cave in South Africa is a deep, dark cavern. Inside, archaeologists found layers of ash, burned bones and stone tools. Some of the ash is over 1 million years old. That means people were burning fires deep inside the cave, not just at the entrance. It takes skill to carry a flame that far. You need dry wood, kindling, and a way to keep it going. If you drop your torch, it goes out. If your fire dies, you're stuck in the dark. This wasn't an accident. It was planned. The bones in the cave tell their own story. Many are burned in ways that match roasting or cooking. Some have cut marks, showing they were butchered with stone tools. There are also piles of ash from repeated fires, not just one. This wasn't a one-time thing. People were living and cooking in the cave for generations. Now, let's step back. What did fire do to our bodies? There's a theory called the cooking hypothesis. It says that once people started eating cooked food, their bodies changed. Our teeth got smaller, our jaws became less powerful, our guts shrank because food was easier to digest. In return, our brains grew. Cooked food meant more energy for thinking, less spent on chewing and digesting. Over thousands of years, this shaped who we became. Fire also had risks, burns of course, but there's more. Smoke from fires can damage lungs, especially in caves or closed spaces. Breathing smoke day after day isn't healthy. Some scientists think this led people to build better shelters or to invent ways to vent smoke. Maybe it even made some groups leave caves for open camps. There's another risk too. Fire can destroy. If a group left a fire unattended, it could burn down forests, kill animals, and ruin food supplies. Some of the earliest signs of large fires might be human-made, not natural. This power to shape the land came with responsibility, and with mistakes. Here's something worth thinking about. Fire is both friend and enemy. It's life and death, safety and danger. Early humans had to respect it. Maybe that's why so many myths and legends treat fire as something sacred. In some stories, fire is a gift from the gods. In others, it's stolen from the heavens or guarded by monsters. People understood that fire was special, not just another tool, but something almost magical. Fire also made humans more mobile. With fire, you can travel farther. You're not tied to caves or warm places. You can cross cold mountains, survive in new lands. Archaeologists found signs of people with fire in places that would have been deadly without it. Northern Europe, high mountain valleys, even the Arctic. The ability to carry fire meant you could go anywhere. And here's another twist. Fire may have made humans more creative. The hours spent around the flames were hours to think, talk, and dream. Early art, paintings, carvings, beads, shows up around the same time as regular fire use. Maybe the stories told at night became the first myths. The shadows on the cave wall became the first pictures. Creativity needs time and safety. Fire gave both. But fire didn't just help humans. It changed the world for other animals too. As people burned grasslands, new plants grew. Some animals thrived. Deer, antelope, wild cattle. Others disappeared. Fire reshaped entire ecosystems. Even today, The places humans burned most are the places with the richest mix of plants and animals. Fire made space for new life. There's evidence that, over time, people learned to use different fuels, not just wood, but bones, dung, even animal fat. In places with little wood, people got creative. Burning dung isn't pleasant, but it works. Animal fat burns hot and bright. The choice of fuel depended on where you lived and what you needed. This flexibility helped humans survive in tough places. Let's look at another example. In Israel, at a site called Gesher Beno Yaakov, archaeologists found dozens of ancient hearths. These are fire pits, carefully built. They date back about 780,000 years. The fires were used for cooking, warmth, and maybe even making stone tools. People came back to the same spots again and again. They left behind burned seeds, nuts, and fish bones. It's a sign of routine, of planning, of a group that knew how to use fire in daily life. Fire also changed how people hunted. With fire, you can drive animals into traps or off cliffs. You can flush birds from trees or force small animals from burrows. Some groups used fire to create barriers, blocking escape routes. This kind of hunting is smarter than just chasing prey. It takes teamwork and timing. Over time, fire became a symbol of home. A camp without fire was a camp in trouble. If you saw smoke on the horizon, you knew someone was there. Maybe a friend, maybe a rival. Fire was both a welcome sign and a warning. Here's what fascinates me about all this. Fire is simple, but it's also deep. It's just a chemical reaction. Wood, oxygen, heat. But in human hands, it became the biggest turning point in our story. It's the first technology that truly separated us from the rest of the animal world. Fire made us safer, but it also made us dream bigger. It gave us the tools to survive, but also the space to imagine. All the things that came later, art, language, ceremony, have roots in those first fires. The flames that kept predators away also brought people together. They warmed bodies, but also sparked minds. So next time you see a fire or even a candle, remember, this is where the story really changed. Night didn't win anymore. The cold lost its grip. Even the biggest predators hesitated at the edge of the light. But fire had a cost too. It made us more visible. It marked our camps for miles around. The smoke and smell told every hunter in the area where we were. Fire kept some dangers out, but it drew others in. The story of fire isn't just about safety. It's about trade-offs, choices, and the risks people were willing to take for a better life. And as humans changed their world with fire, something else changed inside them. Their minds grew more flexible. Their hearts grew bolder. The leap from darkness to light was also a leap toward everything that makes us human. Next, we'll look at how all these changes, tools, fire, teamwork, had another cost. They made people safer at night, but they also left deep marks on the mind. The story of being prey isn't just about teeth and claws. It's about the things we carried with us, even after the fires started burning. When you think of survival, it's easy to picture the physical side. Running from something big and fast, climbing trees, hiding in caves. But what about the mind? Surviving as prey left marks that you can't see. Not scars on the skin, but patterns deep inside the brain. These are the things that shaped us just as much as claws or fire. And the truth is, being hunted changed the way humans think, feel, and even dream. Let's start with fear. Not just fear of the dark or of lions, but the kind of fear that lingers when nothing is there. Scientists call this chronic anxiety. It's a fancy way of saying the worry never really goes away. If you've ever felt uneasy for no reason, that's a leftover from a time when danger was everywhere. Our ancestors who felt this way were more likely to spot signs of trouble. They survived. The calm ones, the ones who relax too soon, didn't pass on their genes. You can see this in how the human brain works. There's a part called the amygdala. It's small, about the size of an almond, but it controls fear. In humans, the amygdala is extra sensitive. It lights up at sudden sounds, at strange shadows, even at memories of danger. This isn't a bug, it's a feature. Other animals reset after an attack. Humans keep the memory, and the fear, alive. That was useful when leopards might be close by. It meant you didn't make the same mistake twice. But there's a price. Always being on edge wears you down. Chronic stress isn't just a feeling, it's a physical state. Your body pumps out hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These keep you alert, ready to run or fight. For a short time, that's great, but if it never stops, it damages the body. Blood pressure rises, sleep gets lighter, muscles stay tense, healing slows down, wounds take longer to close. Over years, this makes people sick, heart problems, stomach issues. Even the immune system gets weaker. Archaeologists see proof of this in ancient skeletons. Some bones show lines called Harris lines. They look like faint stripes. These form when a child's growth is interrupted by stress, hunger, or fear. If you look at remains from times when predators were common, you see more of these lines. It means kids grew up under constant pressure. Their bodies literally kept a record of the hard times, and it wasn't just bones. Teeth tell the same story. Enamel hypoplasia is a fancy term for a thin or pitted layer of tooth enamel. It forms when something interrupts growth, like trauma or starvation. Early human teeth often show these marks. Each groove or pit is a sign of a moment when life got suddenly harder. Maybe a predator raid. Maybe a parent was lost. Maybe the group had to move quickly, leaving behind food and safety. Now, think about sleep. People today worry about insomnia, not being able to fall asleep or waking up many times at night. Guess what? That's ancient too. For early humans, deep sleep was dangerous. Sleeping too deeply meant you didn't hear the leopard, or the hyena, or the snake. So our brains evolved to sleep lightly, to wake at small noises. Even today, parents wake up at the faintest sound from their kids. That's not just parenting, that's old survival wiring. Sleep studies show that humans, compared to other primates, wake up more often and sleep less deeply. Is not a flaw, it's an old habit. There's even a name for this, sentinel sleep. In groups, some people fall into light sleep while others are in deep sleep. They take turns. If something moves in the dark, the light sleepers wake first. This system makes sense if you're camping in the open, with predators nearby. Researchers have tested this in modern groups who sleep outdoors. Sure enough, there's always someone awake or half awake. It's automatic. No one plans it. The group just falls into a pattern. It's built into how we rest. Dreams might be another leftover. Some scientists think nightmares about being chased, falling, or hiding are echoes of real dangers from the past. The brain runs through possible threats while you sleep. It's a way to practice, to get ready for what could happen. Nightmares aren't just random, they're training. If you wake up sweating after a bad dream, that's old survival software doing its job. Now here's where things get more complicated. Fear and stress don't just shape individuals, they shape cultures. Look at stories from around the world. Myths, legends, and even fairy tales are full of monsters, wolves in the dark, spirits in the forest, demons that hunt at night. These aren't just stories, they're warnings passed down for thousands of years. They teach kids to be careful, to stay close to the group, to respect the unknown. In some places, rituals grew up to keep predators away, singing at night, lighting fires, marking territory with stones or symbols. These aren't just traditions, they're ways to feel safer, and maybe to make the group safer too. Even today, people hang charms, wear amulets, or say prayers before bed. The names change, but the feeling is the same. It's the old fear dressed up in new clothes. But there's another side to this. Fear can make people creative. If you're always worried, you start looking for solutions, new ways to hide, new weapons, better shelters. Even art and music might have roots in the need to feel safe. Some of the oldest cave paintings show dangerous animals, not just as decoration, but as warnings. Watch out for these, or maybe respect these. People drew what mattered most, the things that could kill you. This need for safety also changed how humans work together. We didn't just group up for warmth or company. We built trust, shared warnings, and learned to communicate danger. Language experts think some of our first words were probably about threats. Snake, lion, come here. Fast, clear, urgent messages. Over time, this grew into stories and plans, but the root was always survival. And here's a detail that matters. Stress isn't always bad. In small doses, it makes you sharper. A little fear keeps you alert. It helps you react quickly, spot patterns and avoid mistakes. The trick is balance. Too much fear, and you freeze or break down. Too little, and you get careless. Early humans walk this line every day. The ones who struck the right balance passed on their genes. That balance is still inside us, even though the dangers have changed. Scientists have studied how the stress of being hunted shaped our brains. There's a theory called predator-prey arms race. It means that as predators got smarter, so did the prey. Each side pushed the other to evolve new tricks. For humans, the main trick was mental. Instead of growing claws or thicker hides, we grew better at thinking ahead, at seeing danger before it arrived, at imagining the future and preparing for it. You can see this in the way kids play. Even today, children play games about hiding, chasing, sneaking, hide and seek, tag. These games aren't just for fun, they teach skills that used to mean life or death. How to stay quiet, how to watch for movement, how to work as a team. Play is a safe way to practice old dangers. Another sign of the mental cost is how humans react to sudden shocks. Some people develop startle responses that are much stronger than in other animals. A loud noise, a sudden touch, even a flash of light can make a person jump or scream. This reaction is automatic. The nerves fire before you even know what happened. In the wild, that extra split second could be the difference between escape and being caught. But there's a downside. When the stress never stops, the mind can turn against itself. Anxiety disorders, panic attacks, and even depression often show up in people who feel hunted all the time, even when there's no real threat. This isn't weakness. It's an old system running in a world that's changed. The brain is still wired for saber-toothed cats and giant bears, even if the biggest danger now is a late-night text or a looming deadline. Let's look at trauma. When something truly bad happens, the brain locks it in. This is called post-traumatic stress. Soldiers feel it. Survivors of attacks feel it. But so did early humans. If someone in the group was killed, the rest didn't just forget. They remembered. They avoided the place or changed how they travelled. This memory lasted for generations. Stories grew up around dangerous spots. Some places became taboo. No one went there because bad things happened. These taboos were a kind of group memory, a way to keep everyone safe. Even today, people fear certain places for reasons they can't explain. An empty field at night, a thick forest, a dark basement. Sometimes there's no real danger, but the feeling is real. It's old. It's part of us. Now think about group dynamics. Stress changes how people treat each other. In times of danger, groups close ranks. Outsiders aren't trusted. Rules get stricter. Punishments get harsher. This isn't just about being mean or unfriendly. It's about survival. One careless mistake could bring predators. One traitor could doom the whole group. So suspicion, gossip, and even harsh judgment become tools for keeping the group together and safe. This pressure shapes culture. In some societies, the worst crime isn't stealing or even killing. It's endangering the group, breaking a rule that keeps everyone safe. These rules can be about food, about fire, about where to sleep. Over time, they turn into traditions, taboos, and even laws. The roots of civilization go back to that basic need. Survive the night, survive the hunt, keep the group alive. Let's talk about parenting. Raising kids in a world full of predators isn't easy. Human children are helpless for years. They can't walk, run, or hide on their own, so parents had to be vigilant. But more than that, the whole group chipped in. Aunts, uncles, older siblings, even neighbours watched over the young. This system is called alloparenting. It still happens today in some hunter-gatherer groups. It's not just about love, it's about spreading the risk. If one adult is tired, another can keep watch. If danger comes, more eyes see it, more hands can help. This group parenting left its mark. Human children are especially tuned to notice adult emotions. They watch faces, listen to voices, and pick up on tension. If the adults are scared, kids get scared too. It's a learning system. The group's mood teaches the next generation what's dangerous and what's safe. And here's something that's easy to miss. The cost of being prey didn't vanish when humans started hunting back. Even after we got fire, tools, and teamwork, the old fears stayed. They just shifted targets. Instead of lions and bears, new dangers took their place. Rival groups, disease, starvation. But the brain kept watching, kept worrying, kept planning. Some scientists think this explains why humans are so restless, why we always look for problems to solve, even when things are good, why we invent new challenges, set new goals, and imagine new threats. The old survival systems are still running, looking for something to do. There's another layer to this story, the mind-body connection. Chronic fear doesn't just change the brain, it reshapes the body too. In times of danger, people get leaner. Muscles tense. Fat stores shift to the belly. This is the body's way of getting ready for fight or flight. But if the danger never stops, these changes can lead to health problems. Modern doctors see this in stress-related illnesses, heart disease, diabetes. Even some immune disorders can be traced back to the stress system running too hard for too long. Let's bring this back to the present. Most people today don't face lions or leopards, but the old wiring is still there. That's why a scary movie can make your heart race. Why a sudden noise in the night feels so intense. Why nightmares about being chased are so common, even if you've never seen a wild animal. The mind remembers what the body never faced. Here's a thought that sticks with me. The human brain is a predator alarm. It's always scanning, always alert, always looking for what might go wrong. That's not a problem to fix. It's a survival tool. It kept us alive when the world was full of danger. Now, it sometimes fires when there's nothing to fear, but that's just the price of being built for survival. But this cost, this anxiety, these sleepless nights, these restless dreams, also gave us something else. It made us planners, builders, dreamers. It made us the species that asks, what if? And then finds an answer. The scars are real, but so are the gifts that came with them. So next time you feel anxious for no reason, or wake up in the middle of the night with your heart pounding, remember, you're carrying a piece of ancient history. Your mind is doing what it was built to do, watching the shadows, listening for danger, keeping you and everyone you care about just a little bit safer. This is the hidden side of survival, the cost we paid to stay alive long enough to become who we are. And as the story goes on, we'll see what happened when humans turned the tables, when prey became predator, when the hunted learned to hunt back, and the world shifted once more. So what actually flipped the balance? How did humans go from being hunted to becoming the hunters? This is one of those moments in history that feels almost impossible. If you look at the odds, it shouldn't have happened. We were small, slow, and soft-skinned. We had weak jaws, flat nails, and no armour. Every sign pointed to us staying at the bottom of the food chain forever. But that's not what happened. Something shifted. It happened slowly over thousands of years. But the change was real. Little by little, the scales tipped. The prey started fighting back. And then, somehow, we took over. To understand this shift, you have to look at what was different about us. It wasn't muscles or teeth. It wasn't size or speed. It was the mind. Not just raw brain power, but a certain way of thinking. The kind of thinking that lets you solve new problems. The kind that doesn't just react, but plans ahead. Sees patterns, tests ideas, tries new things. Let's break down what changed step by step. The first big leap was probably about teamwork. Earlier we talked about safety in numbers, but at some point it wasn't just about huddling together, it was about working together on purpose. People started hunting as a team, not just hiding as a group. This took trust, and a kind of communication that's rare in nature. Imagine a group of early humans watching a herd of antelope. They're hungry, but the antelope are fast. Alone, nobody stands a chance. But together, they can surround the herd. One group chases, another waits in hiding. They use hand signals, or maybe throw rocks to drive the animals in a certain direction. This kind of hunting is called persistence hunting. It's not about speed or power. It's about endurance and planning. Humans can't sprint like a cheetah, but they can jog for hours, even in the heat. Here's what's wild. When you run an animal until it overheats, you don't need claws or fangs. You just need patience, water, and the ability to work with others. The animal collapses from exhaustion. Then you move in. Other predators can't do this. Wolves and wild dogs get close, but humans took it to another level. Persistence hunting may be one of the oldest tricks that turned the tables, but teamwork wasn't just for hunting, it was also for defense. At some point, people figured out that a group with sticks and stones could scare off even big predators. Lions and leopards don't like getting hit by rocks. Hyenas will back off if a group stands its ground. The key is numbers and noise. If you act together, the odds change. So a group of humans shouting and waving burning sticks could hold a predator at bay. That's not something other prey animals can do. Now, tools and weapons made a huge difference too. We talked about the first sharp stones, but over time, these got better. People learned to make spears. A spear is a game changer. It's the first real distance weapon. You don't have to get close. You can throw it from far away. That's a huge advantage against anything with teeth or claws. The oldest known wooden spears are about 400,000 years old. They were found in Schöningen, Germany. These weren't just sticks. They were carefully shaped, balanced for throwing. They're about 7 feet long, heavy but strong. Archaeologists found them with animal bones, horses, deer, even wild cattle. The marks on the bones show that the spears worked. People use them for hunting, but probably for defense too. But here's something that gets overlooked. Making a spear isn't just about finding a stick and sharpening it. You have to pick the right wood, carve it just right, sometimes heat it in a fire to harden the tip. That takes knowledge, it takes passing down skills. It means you're not just living for today, you're teaching the next generation. You're building a tradition. The next big leap was the invention of the atlatl, or spear thrower. Think of it as a simple lever, like an extra arm. It lets you throw a spear much farther and harder than with just your hand. The oldest atlatls go back at least 17,000 years, maybe more. With an atlatl, you could keep your distance from dangerous animals, you could hunt bigger prey, you became less vulnerable, and then came the bow and arrow. This is a huge step. The bow is light, quiet, and deadly from a distance. The oldest bows found are around 10,000 years old, but some archaeologists think people made them even earlier. With a bow, you could hunt from hiding. You could defend your camp from behind barriers. You no longer had to risk your life every time you faced a predator. These advances didn't just help. With hunting, they changed everything about survival. If a leopard tried to sneak up on a group, it risked getting hit by a spear or an arrow. If a pack of wild dogs attacked, the humans could fight back as a unit. The balance started to tip, but technology is only part of the story. The bigger shift was mental. Humans started to see patterns in nature. They watched how animals moved, when they hunted, how they behaved. They learned to track footprints, read broken branches, smell the wind. They could predict when a predator was near, or where prey would be found. Tracking is a skill that's hard to imagine today. It takes patience and sharp senses. Some hunter-gatherers today can look at a patch of dirt and tell you what animal passed by, how fast it was moving, even how long ago. This isn't magic. It's learned, practiced, and perfected over many years. But there's more. Humans develop traps. Simple at first, holes in the ground covered with branches. Later, more complex ones. Snares, pits, even fences. These let you catch animals without risking your life. Traps work while you sleep. They multiply your chances, and important for this story, they can catch predators as well as prey. Building a trap is another sign of abstract thinking. You have to imagine the animal's path, set the trigger just right, hide your scent. It's a puzzle, and every time you solve it, your group is safer. Over generations, these tricks stacked up. Each new idea made the next one easier. Another important change was the use of fire as a weapon, not just for warmth. Early humans learned to use burning branches to scare off predators. Later, they used controlled burns to shape the landscape. If you burn away the tall grass, predators lose their cover. You can see them coming. You can drive animals toward traps or ambushes. Fire let people take control over places that were once too risky. It opened up new hunting grounds. It made night less dangerous. Predators that once ruled the darkness now had to stay back. They feared the flames. Now let's talk about shelters. Caves are good, but they're not always safe. Some have only one entrance, easy to guard. Others have too many exits. Over time, people built better shelters, simple huts made from branches, leaves, and animal skins. Later, more complex structures, walls of stone, wooden fences, even ditches. These barriers kept predators out. They let people sleep deeper, worry less. Evidence shows that people started picking campsites with defense in mind. High ground, places with clear views, near water, but not too close to thick forest where predators hide. Sometimes, ancient camps were set up in circles, with the fire in the middle. Everyone faced outward. It's the same instinct that makes people today want to face the door in a restaurant. All these changes, tools, weapons, teamwork, fire, shelters, added up. They didn't make humans invincible, but they made us harder to kill. Over time, predators learned to avoid humans. The balance of power shifted. But here's where the story gets really interesting. As humans became better hunters, we started to threaten the predators themselves, not just defending, but going on the attack. People hunted big cats for their fur and claws. They tracked bears for meat and hides. In some places, they even wiped out the most dangerous predators completely. This is called predator release. When humans kill or drive off the top predators, the whole food chain changes. Sometimes other animals explode in number. Sometimes new predators take over. But the old fear, the daily risk of being eaten, starts to fade. It didn't happen all at once. In Africa, lions and leopards survived. In India and Southeast Asia, tigers still roam today. But in Europe, big cats vanished. In North America, dire wolves and saber-toothed cats disappeared. In Australia, giant lizards and marsupial lions went extinct. Humans didn't always kill them directly. Sometimes we just outcompeted them for prey. Sometimes we changed the land so much that their old hunting grounds vanished. This shift, from being food to being the top hunter, changed how people saw themselves. Myths and legends started to show humans as heroes, not victims. The monsters of old became prey in the stories. The fear was still there, but now it had a new shape, and something else happened. As life got safer, the stress levels dropped. People could spend more time making things, telling stories, building culture. The oldest art we've found, cave paintings, carvings, jewellery, often appears in places where the most dangerous predators were already gone or pushed back. But victory brought new problems. When humans became the top hunters, they began to shape the world in bigger and bigger ways. Hunting too many animals led to extinctions. Changing landscapes with fire and tools affected everything from grass to trees to rivers. The balance flipped, but it didn't settle. The story kept changing. So what can we learn from this? First, the flip wasn't about one invention or one moment. It was 1,000 small changes stacked on top of each other. Each generation added something new, a sharper spear, a better trap, a new way to work together. Second, the flip was never complete. Even today, humans can be attacked by wild animals. The fear never vanished. It just moved to the background. The old instincts are still there, under the surface. Third, this story shows how pressure shapes us. Being hunted forced people to become creative, careful, and connected. When the danger faded, those skills stayed. They became the roots of everything else: language, art, science, even cities. And here's the part that really sticks with me. The tools we made to fight off predators became the tools we used to change the world. Spears turned into ploughs. Fire became the heart of the home. Shelters grew into villages, then towns, then cities. The same teamwork that helped us hunt now helps us build and dream. In the end, the flip from prey to predator is about more than just survival. It's about transformation. We didn't just escape danger. We became something new, something that no other animal has ever been. And yet, we never really lost the old fears. They're still there, deep inside. They shape our stories, our games, even our dreams. But now they remind us of what we overcame, of how far we've come, from hiding in the dark to lighting fires that can be seen for miles. So next time you see a campfire or wake up from a nightmare about being chased, remember this balance. Remember that the hunted became the hunter. That every new idea, every new tool was another step out of the shadows. This is the heart of our story, the great flip, the moment when the world changed and we changed with it. And the story isn't over. The lessons from that old struggle still shape us. They guide our choices, our fears, our hopes for the future. The balance keeps shifting, and we keep adapting just as we always have. So after everything we've covered, the close calls, the sleepless nights, the clever tricks, it's worth asking, what does all this mean for us now? These old struggles aren't just ancient history. They're the roots of who we are. The lessons from those dangerous years are still with us, running deep, maybe deeper than we like to admit. First, let's talk about what we carry inside. Not just the stories, but the instincts. You might think that since we've become the top predator, all those old fears would fade away, but they haven't. Even today, people jump at shadows. We still feel uneasy in the dark. We still imagine monsters under the bed or hear noises that make us tense up. Those aren't bugs in our brains. They're reminders, traces left behind by the long years when we weren't safe. Take nightmares, for example. Almost everyone has dreams about being chased, falling, or getting attacked. These dreams don't come out of nowhere. They're echoes of real dangers our ancestors faced. For them, getting caught meant dying, so their brains wired in those warnings. And now, thousands of years later, those same warning systems still fire off, even if the threat is only a bad dream. But there's another side to this story. The same instincts that once kept us alive can cause problems now. Fear is useful when there's real danger. But in a world with locked doors, bright lights, and fewer wild animals, sometimes that fear gets stuck. It turns into anxiety, stress, or even phobias. Some people panic in crowds or worry for no clear reason. That's the cost of a brain built for survival, dropped into a world that's mostly safe. Still, that old wiring isn't all bad. It also explains why people are drawn to stories about danger, why we watch scary movies or read about mysteries. There's a thrill in feeling fear when we know it can't really hurt us. The brain likes practice runs. It wants to be ready just in case. That's why even children play games about monsters or hide and seek in the dark. It's training, left over from a time when the stakes were life or death. Now think about how this inheritance shows up in our culture. Look at myths from around the world. Almost every culture has stories about monsters in the forest, spirits in the night, or creatures that hunt humans. These legends didn't come from nowhere. They're memory maps, warnings passed down in stories long after the real predators faded away. But these stories also have another purpose. They let people talk about fear without facing it head on. By giving the unknown a name, a lion, a dragon, a ghost, people made the world feel a little less scary. If you can name your fear, you can fight it, or at least tell a story about how someone else did. And there's something else. The old dangers brought people together. When you're scared, you want company. You want someone to watch your back, share the fire, or tell you a story that makes the dark seem smaller. That's why so many human traditions are about gathering together, around campfires, in circles, at festivals. The feeling of safety in a group didn't start with cities or nations. It started with small bands watching for lions in the grass. Even the way we build our homes shows this history. Most people like to sit where they can see the door. We like windows that face the street. We build fences, plant hedges, or put up lights outside. It's not just about style. It's about feeling safe, making sure nothing can sneak up behind us. These habits aren't new. They go back to the first shelters, the first camps, the first nights after fire. Now let's zoom out. The skills we learned while surviving as prey didn't just help us stay alive. They became the foundation for everything else. The need to watch for danger became the urge to explore, to map out new lands, to wonder what's behind the next hill. The habit of listening for trouble became curiosity, the drive to learn, the hunger for answers. You can see this in science too. At its core, science is about asking questions, testing ideas, looking for patterns that others miss. That's exactly what our ancestors did when they tracked animals, read signs in the dirt, or guessed where a predator might be hiding. The same mental tools, just aimed at bigger mysteries. Even art and music have roots in those early days. The first stories were warnings. Don't sleep near the river, crocodiles hunt there. The first songs may have been chants to comfort children, to keep watch, or to mark the end of danger. Over time, those stories and songs grew into culture, but the spark came from fear, from survival, from sharing what we knew. And here's a thought. Maybe being hunted was the best thing that ever happened to us. If life had always been easy, we might not have changed so much. No reason to invent, to plan, to dream up new tools. Pressure forced us to adapt, forced us to get smarter, kinder, more connected. The danger was real, but so was the growth. Sometimes people look back and wish life was simpler. But simple for most of history meant risky. Every meal was a gamble, every night was a test. The safety we feel now, the calm of a locked door, is a new thing, and we built it ourselves, step by step, using skills that started long ago. But the story doesn't end there. As humans spread out, they changed the world in bigger ways. They moved into new lands, met new dangers, and faced new challenges. Sometimes the old skills weren't enough. They had to invent new ways to stay ahead. That's how progress works. You solve one problem and another appears. We also left a mark on the world that can't be erased. When humans arrived, the top predators often vanished. Forests changed, grasslands shifted, rivers were tamed. That power is both a gift and a burden. We're the only animals who can shape the land to fit our needs, but we also carry the responsibility to protect what's left. Some people worry that we've lost touch with our roots, that modern life is too safe, too easy. But the evidence says otherwise. Every time someone goes hiking or camping or just spends a night outside, those old instincts wake up. We listen for sounds in the dark. We tell stories around the fire. We look at the stars and wonder what's out there. The past isn't gone. It lives on in us. And if you look at the big picture, the lesson is clear. Survival isn't about strength alone. It's not about being the biggest or the fastest. It's about adapting, learning, working together, finding new ways to meet each challenge. Those old predators forced us to grow, but they also taught us to stay humble. There's always something bigger out there, even if it's just the unknown. So, what do we do with this? Inheritance? Maybe the best answer is to remember where we came from, to respect the old fears but not be ruled by them, to use the skills we learned, curiosity, teamwork, creativity, to face whatever comes next, and above all, to keep telling these stories, because they remind us that we're part of a long chain, that every safe night, every warm fire, every story shared is a small victory, not just over lions or bears, but over the darkness itself. In the end, we survived because we changed. We became something new, not prey, not just predators, but storytellers, builders, dreamers. The world is still full of mysteries, and we're still searching for answers. So, as you drift off, remember this. The world changed us, and we changed it right back. That's the true inheritance. The old dangers shaped our fears and our hopes, but they also gave us the tools to survive, to wonder, and to look forward together.